Today I am going to be on with Crime Time with Jess, and we are going to talk about the Chase Venstra homicide investigation, and we're going to talk about the grain shed and Dylan's farm, and just kind of like show an idea of how far away the grain shed is from the farm. And we're also going to cover a few more topics. So we're just waiting for Jess. While we wait for Jess, I suppose I'll pull up the grain shed pictures. So as you can see, that's the grain shed where Dylan's truck was parked, and then where James Brenner camper was parked, and then where the boots were, the general area of where the boots were. And then up at the top, that's Dylan's farm, which is 5 miles away. And then also the boots were going in the opposite direction of his farm. So I'm going to go ahead and go back and look again. So yeah, it doesn't make any sense for his boots to be going in the opposite direction of his farm if he was heading back to his farm, which is what he told his grandmother he was going to be doing. All right. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the Chase Venstra documents. We covered Crime Time with Jess covered this. We did a live on her channel, and we looked at these documents, and it mentions a homicide investigation in them. So yesterday, Dylan Round's mother, Candice Cooley, went on a news interview, and she talked about the homicide investigation. And the way it sounded was like it potentially could be related to Dylan's disappearance. So I'm going to go ahead and go over to another panel so that I can read this because the text is really small. I hope you guys can see it though, at least. All right, so count one, possession of a firearm by a restricted person. So that's what he was arrested on, was firearms charges. But it does mention in this document the homicide investigation. Beginning on a date unknown and continuing until June 4th, 2022 in the Central Division of District of Utah. Hang on one second, actually. I'm going to see if Jess is in here. I don't want to be covering everything without her. All right, she's not in here yet. Oh. I think I actually need to go to the live real quick on my YouTube page so that I can put the link in there. I forgot to drop the link for her. In there, I forgot to drop. All right. So we'll go ahead and go back to these documents while Jess makes her way in. Oh, I just got a ding. She's in here. Hold on. I'll let her in. Dude, I totally forgot to put the link, and I was like, where's Jess? So I started reading the document, and I was like, I didn't even drop the link. Dude, I totally forgot to put the link, and I was like, where is Jess? So I started reading the document, and I was like, I didn't even drop the link. I think I have feedback in here. What's going on?
Why is this replaying?
That's what I'm trying to figure out, because I have it muted. Like on.
Do you have it on in the background, or do I?
No.
Oh, it was me.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I had YouTube open. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Like, look at my green screen. See how it's all weird? Oh my God, that looks so crazy, Synthia. If there's any tweakers out in Montello watching right now, hey. Like,
why is it doing that?
It's not a shadow person. It's just a green screen. No, because it needs more lighting. So I'm kind of like, I wish I could do something more with that. I know we're talking about something serious right now, but yeah, my green screen looks crazy. So SARS, I look like I have green hair. Either way,
I just
not about
realized
me.
I didn't even have us up on the thing. So nobody just saw like the whole green screen tripping out thing.
Hey, Montella tweakers. Welcome to the show. Like, that's just so funny. Like, imagine if they were like all tweaked out watching this. Like, oh my God, she's really a witch. Like, she knows where Dylan is. She needs to do a tarot read.
You'd be like, tell
Okay,
us
I'm
where it's
sorry.
at. All
Yeah,
right.
we
So
started getting into like a really good conversation before we got off the phone to come on live.
yeah,
So
we were
now
kind of
I
talking
forgot.
about everything before we even came on. We have a habit of doing that, like
Yeah.
talking about everything and then coming on, and it's a little bit different when we come on. But
Well, it's like Groundhog's Day.
yeah, exactly.
You know.
All right. So I'm going to get back to the document. Do you think I should read the whole thing or just the part about the homicide? Because we haven't reviewed
Just
these
the
documents.
homicide part,
Oh,
I
okay.
feel.
All right. I think that's on page 4.
Yeah, I think it is page 4.
The text is so small every time.
After we read this, I definitely want to talk about the possible intelligence of James Brenner. Like we just have to talk about this. I'm sorry, we do.
Yeah, we were talking about that right before we came on. So it would be a good
Yeah.
idea to cover it again.
Well, there's 2 reasons why I want to talk about it. Because of what Kurt said and what is fact. So it just I don't know. But anyway, go ahead.
I lost where I'm at. Okay, so from point 5. All right. So it says your affiant knows that on May 12th, 2022, that date was actually June 12th and a correction was made. So June 12th, 2022, investigators with the Davis County Sheriff's Office and Box Elders Sheriff's Office executed a residential search warrant on Venstra's known resident in West Point City in conjunction with a homicide investigation. So when Candice went on that news interview yesterday, it did sound like the family believes that it could be linked to Dylan.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it was like, oh my God, here we go with the trippy tweaker stuff. Okay, if anybody's wondering, I'm really passing off my bad green screen right now as just I'm trying to fit in Montello. Like that's all I'm really trying to do. And I feel like they would understand stuff like this. So like aliens and whatever tweakers see, I don't know. I've never partaken in that drug. But I wonder if James Brenner did. That's a good question. And I also
Yeah.
wonder.
We haven't really heard a lot about that, whether or not James Brenner was into like the whole tweak thing. But apparently, him and Chase dated the same woman. So you would think that if Chase were into the tweaking game, and maybe this woman was, maybe James was too. I don't know.
Yeah, because he had a little shack that was blew up. James Brenner,
Mm.
remember?
Yeah, but that
Remember
was said
him
to have
blowing
been
his
blown
shack
up by
up?
someone else. But I've kind of wondered if maybe he was dabbling and blew his own shit up. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I just wonder, like, I want to talk about the intelligence level of this man because, like, this green around my head is completely driving me insane right now. Like, do you understand? But, um, it just who shows up like in a hat, like in Dylan's hat, and then you leave his boots like right there by your house. And then you have Kurt. That's like he was set up. He was set up. Well, who's he been set up by, Kurt? I don't know. Like, there's no answer to it, but he's been set up. Well, how is that? And it's just makes me think like that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Like again, like you see, like this is what I was talking about with bad green screens, like how it's like going in and out and stuff.
Yeah.
But like who does that? Like okay, if you committed this heinous crime, you murdered someone, you're really gonna wear his hat and leave his boots like really like in your backyard, pretty much. Just out in the open, like not even covered up. So it makes me wonder about Kurt like being insistent that he was set up.
Well, I mean, if he was wearing the hat, that would definitely make sense why someone would be like not not have it planned out well enough to put the boots somewhere else other than like the grain shed, which is also right next to James Brenner's trailer. So we have the hat, and then we have the trailer right there, and then we also have the boots right there. That obviously looks really bad on him.
It's ridiculously stupid. And again, like, we know that criminals are not very smart. They get caught often. So, but it's just like that just seems like an extra level of stupidity. And I just look at that like, why is Kurt so insistent about that? They were friends. Brenner did live with Kurt for a year, so it's like, why is he so insistent that James Brenner has been set up?
Yeah. And it definitely looks like the same hat too. I don't know though why Kurt thinks that he was set up. It right now we don't have any person that would have set him up that has been like, where it's been publicly made that there's potentially another person that could have set him up.
Well, when I introduced that Don, when I said that to Kurt, like, this is not the interview I did with him online, you guys. So, but when I mentioned to Kurt that, well, like, did Don, like, do you think Don set him up? And he was like, oh no, Don didn't do that. So it's like there was no answer as to who would have set James up, but that he was framed. And I go both ways with that. Like, was he saying that because James was his friend? Because James was Kurt's friend.
A good friend.
He's saying that and he just can't wrap his head around that he would do this? Or does he know more?
Yeah, I don't know. They were all friends, all three of them. So
yeah,
Dawn and Kurt and Jem.
Yeah, so. I mean, even Chase and Kurt were friends. Up until a certain point.
Yeah.
Up until, Chase started doing stuff to Kurt, and then they became not friends. But prior to that, they were friends. So I'm getting ready to take this thing down because it's literally driving me crazy. Like, I can't look at it. Oh my God. Oh, that's so cool. So I don't have to be
that's causing it, or is it the lighting that's causing it?
Yeah, probably, because I just shut my camera off and it leaves that as a background. That's awesome.
It looks really cool without
that. Can I just I wish I could put like just a picture of myself over top of it. And like that'll work. So yeah. But anyway, I can't see chat. Is there a chat?
Yes, there is. We don't have anyone.
Can you do the chat overlay like up at the top?
Yeah. There's nobody commenting now.
Oh, nobody's watching us. Good. This is where we talk our best. So either way, I just put up a community post that.
And this isn't your channel. You have a much larger following than I do. So.
Well, obviously. But either way, that's, I did just put on my community tab that I was going live over here with you. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm just so impressed with my background picture now. I just look terrible on it. But either way, back to Brenner. I think it's been so hard, right? Because you've looked, I've looked. I don't know if anyone else has. I mean, I really have not been watching a lot of other YouTube channels about this.
Yeah.
So, hello, Delana. Hi. How are you? Yeah, but I don't know if anyone has found anyone from Brenner's family, an ex, someone who could give some insight into James Brenner. We know a lot about Kurt. He's told us a lot. But we just don't know a lot about this man. And I would love to, is he a smart guy? Is he, there was a term, and did I say this on my live stream before, Synthia? There was a term that I guess everyone out in Lucin called Brenner, and that was the dirt farmer.
Yeah,
And
you said that on your live before. Not over here
okay,
though.
so we didn't know like what that meant. And so I just like Googled dirt farmer. And what it means is a farmer who ekes out a living from a farm on poor lands, typically without the help of hired labor. So the people in Lucin, or at least some of them, knew him as the dirt farmer, and they would tell each other like, don't go around him, stay away from him, like he's bad, he's the dirt farmer. So it's kind of, I could see why he got that name. He was squatting.
Yeah,
He didn't have much.
he didn't have anything. Yeah,
Right,
all
which
he
would,
had was like that spot he was squatting on, which was at risk because Dylan was in the process of buying that land, and it had like water and electricity and stuff on it. So I just feel like, Dylan's farm, which was 5 miles away, it didn't have any of that. So wouldn't it make sense that he was probably at some point going to move his trailer there, and then James Brenner was going to go?
yes, because there's another, Ed Hershberger in this case. He's brought up, but he's not really, people don't really want to talk about him. They will say stuff and then they'll be like, oh, yeah, he doesn't have anything to do with this. Well, I disagree because he owned the land and Dylan was in contact with him. So in trying to buy that land, and just what Synthia is saying, if Dylan was going to buy that land, yes, that would be a big threat to James Brenner because now you got to go. We heard Candice in that interview say at the grain shed, it had all these water hookups, all these things. It had everything that he needed.
Yeah.
So of course he probably would have told James to get lost because they
Mm-hmm.
didn't get along anyway. He's right
No.
there next to his grain shed. He probably would have moved his trailer over there. It had everything he needed. So
You know,
there
if James
definitely
did
was.
if James did do this, it's just going back to like the whole hat thing and the boots and how it doesn't seem very intelligent to do those things. It did
No.
he Would he really have thought that making Dylan disappear would have allowed him to like squat longer? It's like
I mean, quite
eventually you're going to get
honestly,
caught.
maybe, look at how many people they've even found someone else while looking for Dylan. Like,
Yeah.
people go missing out there, so yeah, I mean, look, like 2 whole days like go by before anyone in like the family, like real friends, even know that he's gone.
Yeah.
So maybe he really did think he was going to get away with that. I don't know. Um, what I think is weird is that he stayed in the area,
Yeah,
which I don't
that is
know if,
true.
yeah, like if he didn't have a way out, but we do know that Don was giving him rides to the bar in town
Yeah.
after Dylan disappeared because
Yeah.
Brenner's truck would overheat and wasn't, like in good working shape.
Yeah.
So, if Don was willing to hide his guns for him, I still very much question what the heck Don knew, honestly. But if
Well,
Don was willing to do that, go ahead. Sorry.
it seemed like he covered for him with the guns. Like initially, even though he eventually like told law enforcement when they asked him again about the guns, and then he finally gave up the what was it, the 22 rifle. He just gave like the muzzle loaders at first. Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then finally he ended up giving up the 22. So it seemed really odd. And as far as I know, he didn't offer up that information on his own. It's not like he called law enforcement and told them like, "Oh, this guy's acting weird. He brought me these
No,
guns."
he didn't. And he's a witness. He is a witness. He is stated as a witness in those court documents. So a witness to what exactly? What are
Yeah.
you a witness? What is he a witness to? To the guns? Because I don't think so. I mean, you're talking all about Dylan Rounds and that paperwork. What was he a witness to? What did he see? And obviously, whatever it was that he did see, or he didn't tell anyone. He didn't
Yeah.
tell the family that he's supposedly friends with. He didn't
Mhm.
tell them. He didn't just readily offer up that information to the FBI. So extremely questionable. Why is this man just a witness?
Oh, Delana says, in my opinion, I think this was all about land, power, water, and money. Yeah, it seems like it especially for someone like James that didn't have a lot. I still feel like Don is suspicious, not only because of the gun thing, but because he didn't tell anyone that Dylan was still missing. Or he didn't put any urgency on it when when he went and checked twice, in like the almost 2 days before the family came out to look for Dylan.
And it's so disturbing to me that the people that first started looking for him were Jim and Don.
Yeah.
Like, that's just so disturbing because they definitely were not looking for him. They were getting rid of stuff and doing things like that. So, but why on earth would you take his wallet and his phone and again leave his boots literally in your backyard? Just laying out, not even covered up with anything or anything. That just does not make sense to me. Make that make sense to me, please. What could be a possible scenario that would happen? That he had that much time to get rid of all of that kind of stuff, and he didn't. Why?
So
Did
either
he
it's
did he
just it
really
wasn't well.
overlook it?
Yeah, it either just wasn't well planned out, or like maybe he was framed, but I don't know by who. I mean, that's what Kurt said.
Yeah, Kurt was insistent that James was framed, but without saying by who or anything like that.
Well, he
So,
suggested that he thought that Don had more to do with it than Jim, right?
yes,
Yeah.
he was like, well, if anything, Don like has more to do with it. And I'm like, what? What do you mean, Kurt?
But then
Is
he
that
also
what you're saying? But when I said to him, so do you think that Don? Oh, no, no, no. Don doesn't have anything to do with this. And like I had to remind him, like there is evidence against Brenner. But again, I really would like to know what this evidence is, if it is true that Dylan's phone was found. Um, and like just what is the evidence? I cannot wait to see the discovery. Like if we get to that point, which I think we will, but all of it will be in there. But it's just, is it stuff that could have been used to frame him? It's just it's awfully weird to me that Kurt is insistent upon that. Why so insistent? Just you're in denial that James could have did that, even though you said to me that he was ready to kill a guy outside of the store. And Kurt told him, no, don't do that here. Like, go out in the desert and do that or something. Like, don't do that here. But he still got in a fight with the guy. And I think James actually got beat up, though.
he did.
So,
Didn't
yeah.
he? His ankle ended up broken. He had to like drag himself underneath the tree.
Yeah, like, Kurt was like, he said he dragged himself like 100 yards across the gravel and had to go. Like, his ankle was broken. Yeah, that, like, it brings me some type of joy, too. Like, just to know that you did that, you dummy.
And then who
Because you
came to the
obviously.
rescue? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I guess maybe he's not the stupidest
No, didn't Don come and
or
rescue him
smartest. I
from
mean,
that? Isn't that what Kurt said? That
say that
Don
one
was
more
the
time.
one that Don was the one that came and rescued James Brenner when he had the broken ankle and he was laying underneath the tree.
Yes, like these people were friends. Okay, like you don't live with somebody for a year and not be good friends with them. So that's what I'm saying. Like, is Kurt just like in this severe denial, or is there something else? Something else? Like, why would you say this? I don't understand that.
Yeah. And then also, well, I mean, Kurt says that he has an alibi, so there's that. And as far as we
Well,
know,
I'm more like talking about him with Don.
yeah,
Like, they're all friends.
that's true.
So it's like, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. And I know the FBI has to be questioning, like, was this guy really this dumb to leave these boots here? Like,
Yeah.
how? So you mean to tell me that this guy like went and buried a whole human and did all of this stuff, but he just leaves these boots here?
He
Um,
doesn't
you
look
know,
like he's in great shape, and I've wondered with the whole like broken ankle story. I know a lot of the time, like recovering from breaks, sometimes, especially for people that are not in great shape, it can worsen. Like maybe they'll walk with a limp or something like that. So it really makes me wonder if he could have done it, like physically, could have done it alone. Move Dylan.
I don't think so. And I think Delana is right. She said, yeah, I don't think
Oh
JB
yeah,
was alone in this.
yeah, she did say that. But yeah, that broken
We
ankle, I
agree
feel
with
would,
you.
yeah, the broken ankle would probably, even though it was what, a year ago, maybe he still had some kind of like impairment from it. But
Yeah,
he
and
just
he
doesn't
was
look like physically he's in great shape.
exactly. So I have people texting me. Are you still going live? I am live. I'm over here, guys. Um, let me just text.
Yeah, I don't, it's just, it seems really stupid, or not stupid, but just like a terrible thing to do to hurt somebody over land that you're squatting on. I really don't understand that at all. But maybe that's just because people like me or people like good people, don't understand the motives of people that do terrible things.
Well, it's yes. I mean, yeah, he was bad tempered, but I keep going back to these boots. Like the boots from day one have always bothered me. They just seemed like these boots are an entire story in themselves. And I've been saying that from the beginning, but I feel like that's kind of like taking on a new meaning now. Like with Kurt with his insistence that, James is framed, even though I'm like, Kurt, there's evidence. Well, I know, but he still thinks he's framed. So why do you think that? Again, like it just do them boots really do tell a whole different story? Is this some setup? Because with Don, the way the only firsthand account that I've gotten from someone about Don is that he was just not the friendliest, not the meanest, but like a big burly guy that didn't really, you know, like
Yeah.
talk too much or
Who did that come from? Was that
like it would
Kurt?
be a perfect friend for James. But
Who said that? I don't recall. Who said that he was not very social?
it was Julie.
Julie. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know that he was like social enough to like hang out at the bar. So maybe it was just kind of like with strangers that he
Yeah,
was.
because she didn't really know him.
Yeah.
Dylan had sent him up to her house.
Hmm.
So she didn't really know him. Like she met him and stuff, but yeah. So I'm sure like around James or Kurt or something like that, he was obviously much more talkative. I
Yeah.
mean,
Those are his
he
close
told
friends.
Kurt quite a bit. So
Mhm. Yeah. Earlier you were talking about James Brenner's like history, and I can't find anything on him other than like his criminal history. I can't find any like family, any marriages. It's just like he doesn't exist outside of the criminal system.
yeah, that's like the only thing you can find on Brenner. Um, it's hard. We've looked and looked and looked, and it's like, where's the family members? Where's the exes? Where's people like that can like give insight into who this guy like really was, like paint the character picture of him. And hi, Glory. Good to see you.
Hi, Glory.
Um, but yeah, so I would love to know that. Glory, we're talking about Brenner and possible, family members or friends or exes, things of that nature, that anyone that could sort of give an insight into this man, because the only insight we have is his criminal record. Hello, Super Duper.
Feeling Super Duper says something Candice said confused me, but is pertinent to the timeline. Does anyone know if the seed was wet from the rain? Because I think Candice said seed truck wasn't put in the shed until Sunday. I always thought that it was put away immediately, or that when they found it, it was in the grain shed. Is
If
that the
you
impression
want
you got?
Yeah, no, I'm just getting ready to private chat you real quick. Yeah, I mean, that was the impression, is that, he talked to the grandmother at 6:50 a.m. and had to do it right then because it was about to rain. So I'm confused. Because Dylan went missing Saturday. So how would the sea truck be put in Sunday? No, it's fine, Super Duper. We're chatting about this. So
If it was put in Sunday, it would have had to have been put in by someone that wasn't Dylan, and his family wasn't there yet. So that's a interesting thing.
yeah.
I just don't recall whether or not it was Saturday, or I mean Sunday. I always thought it was Saturday though, like it was put in by Dylan.
Where did you see that at, Super Duper? Was that in her interview? Because I don't recall that part. Or was it something else? Thank you, Glory. But yeah, but like, where exactly did you hear that? Oh, so I thought Candice mentioned that in the latest interview. Did she, Synthia? Because I've only watched it twice, I have to be honest. And we were talking about that prior to coming on air. Do you want to play it and see if we can see if she says that?
I mean,
Because that would be strange.
I think she's always said that like they can't be sure that it was Dylan, but like they thought that it was Dylan that put it away. But let me go find that interview.
Well, I guess that's. Yeah, that is something to think about, because, we just always assume that he like got right off the phone and pulled the truck in there because that would make sense. But if an altercation happens before he even pulled it in, like, earlier I was like, what if he just like rammed the fence? He was like pissed at Jim or something, like, let me in, and they got into a fight and he never got the great truck inside of there. Like, but how would Candace know that? Would it be because, like what Super Duper was saying, like, where the seeds starting to sprout? Because that's why they couldn't get wet. They would start to germinate, I guess is the correct word. But
If I'm going to play this, do I have to mute my mic, because I would think it would
no,
cause feedback? Okay.
no. You need to make sure that the audio is added to it. There's like that little box when it says like share your entire screen.
Okay.
Click, make sure that's clicked so you can hear. And then you're just going to share the screen and go to YouTube and pull up that video off East Idaho News and play it. But just, we do have to stop. Like, we can't just play it all the way through. So,
Yeah.
I'm in love with them.
Can you hear it fine?
Yeah, is that an ad?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm meeting here with Candice Cooley. She is Dylan Round's mother, and Candice, I can't believe it's been nearly
Can you
2
see it?
months since he disappeared.
No.
What the heck?
Did you push share screen?
Oh,
Hi, Karmic.
can you see it now?
No. Up or moving. But no, the share screen button, like see the 5 buttons in front of you? It's the
Mhm.
middle one.
Can you see it now?
No.
What the heck? I don't know why I'm having this issue. It says it's sharing.
No. Unless it's just me, but I don't know.
All right, I'm gonna try again. I think there was that one time that you tried to share something and it wouldn't do it either. Maybe I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, every time I use Chrome with Restream, I always have to use Firefox.
Ah, and I'm using Chrome, so that's probably what's going on.
It might be. But
Yeah, it's not doing it.
that's okay.
That's annoying.
You know what? I think it's gonna let me share my screen. Do you want me to do that?
Yeah, if it'll work for you.
Okay. It has the button there. I didn't know that, like, if you're a guest that you could do that, but let's see. Yeah, so here's her. Let me see if I can share this. Hang on just a seckie. I gotta go back and find myself on my laptop. I lose myself all the time on here. Where am I? Oh gosh. Okay, I really can't find myself right now.
Oh, your
Really
audio
bad at
starting.
that, Synthia. That's what everybody's learning today. We're terrible.
Your audio is starting to cut out.
Oh my gosh.
We're just having all kinds of problems tonight. So Glory Dellen, True Crime Utah said, I would have taken it down with wire cutters so it wouldn't cause a flat tire driving over the barbed wire. Yeah. I think Dylan did break into the fence, but I'm not quite sure if it was taken all the way down. Actually, Glory, Jess and I were just talking about James Brenner's history, like outside of his criminal history. Have you found any family for him or any kind of like connections, like exes or anything like that? Because I've done a lot of looking into him and I can't find anything outside of his criminal history. And we were talking about it a little while ago, and it seems odd that we can't find anything. It's like he didn't exist outside of the justice system. Hey.
Sorry, I don't know what happened to my mic, but I just realized that I think I'm on Chrome with this live stream too. So I don't think it's gonna let me share. I'll try it, but it usually tells me no. So I thought I went with Firefox, but I probably didn't, because I was like, well, I'm just gonna be, a co-host. I'm not. Oh. Okay. Well, it's like, see over here, Synthia, where it's like showing me, like, I guess you would have to like put that up, because for some weird reason it is letting me share it.
Oh, it's working.
Yeah, that's really weird. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and watch it again. We got to get through this ad.
5 minutes after they hit the market. Download the Redfin app.
Can a
And
man
another ad.
become a woman?
I'm Nate Eaton here with Candice Cooley. She is Dylan Round's mother. And Candice,
it's really
I can't
low.
believe it's been nearly 2 months since he disappeared. Of
hear
course, if
that?
you're watching, you
I
probably
do.
are very aware of this case. But we wanted to have Candice in here to get an update and talk about Dylan's birthday, which is coming up here in just a few weeks. So first of all, what can you tell us? What is new?
So what we know, there's stuff that we as just Justin and I as mom and dad know. There is stuff going on. I know everybody thinks it's become this big stall and we're not out there searching and we're not having search parties, but there's a reason for that. We have information that we don't want to be out there searching. Don't want people out there searching because there is stuff behind the scenes that just can't be released to the public right now. But there's a reason.
So that you're saying on the law enforcement side of
Correct.
things are happening.
Yeah.
We do know that there's 2 people that lived in the area or were in the area. Chase Venstra, who has appeared in court, and then we have the other neighbor who was James Brenner.
Correct.
So can you tell people who are just tuning in how those guys knew your son and about the charges?
Yeah, so James, I know Miss Jim, he helped Dylan day work off and on. He helped him in southern Idaho take apart his pivot. He lived out on the property. He squatted out on the property when Dylan first discovered the area when he was like 15. He might have been 6 years old. So just a work acquaintance. I mean, when you're out there, 6 people around you, you kind of get to know.
I wonder if she just flippantly said 6 people or if that's like a number. Just a thought. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, I can.
Okay. I have to do.
there's an echo.
There's an echo.
So, huh?
There's an echo.
There's an echo again.
Is that better?
Yep.
I think it's because I have my YouTube pulled up. I'll stop talking. Okay. But when I stop, you have to talk because I can't just play the video all the way out. It's like,
Yeah.
Okay.
So she was saying that there were 6 people out there.
Chase,
She was saying that there were 6 people out there
until all this happened.
Yeah.
And
Or she was like, when there's like 6 people,
And
everyone knows everyone. Well, I can think of 6 people that would all know each other and that do know each other.
Is that just like
the local
family?
Well, she's talking about, like who he worked with out there. So I don't know. Like I see her saying, like when there's like 6 people. Let's go back. I just want to see what she says again. Right there. Okay, hold on.
When you're out there and you've only got 6 people around you, you kind of get to know everybody.
When you're out there and you only have 6 people around you, you kind of get to know everybody.
Yeah.
So that's how. Say that man's name ever until all this happened. I have no clue. I don't think they knew each other. I mean, probably just in Pasatello and stuff. I did find out that Chase's son helped Dylan last summer on some day work, I believe, when they were putting in the main line, but not Chase. And that was just one of the Montello store and say, hey, you want to come out and help? I'm looking for help. But other than that, I never heard Dylan say Chase's name.
Okay, so James Brenner, it sounds like he's a felon, and so when the police went out to serve a search warrant around the time that Dylan disappeared, they found weapons in his trailer.
Correct.
And he, as a felon, you're not allowed to own weapons. So he's been charged with possessing a firearm as a felon.
Correct.
And he's in custody in Utah. And then Chase Venstra also is in custody on firearms charges.
Yeah, and his charges, the last I know, and that may be the court appearance you heard about yesterday, was now the firearm stolen. And so now it goes a step higher because not only were you a felon with firearms, but you had stolen ones, which they're pretty sure he stole.
So you've got these 2 characters that lived out there. They know what happened to Dylan.
So Chase didn't live out there.
Or Chase did not live out there. Mm-mm. But he was.
So she doesn't answer the question. She just says Chase didn't live out there. She doesn't.
Visiting?
He would go back and forth between Montello and Ogden, and what we were told that's
He
just
had a
what we were
trailer
told
out
is
there
a go.
with an RV.
Yeah, he had a motorhome. It was broken down, but he had that, and he was always out there. He was always out there in Montello, out there in Lucin. He was always out there around those areas. Like, he would ride his 4-wheeler all around there. So, when Nate asked her that question, I'm wondering if Candice is still not convinced that, like, Chase had something to do.
Well, I mean, she did.
She did say like
he was early on of
he was off of the list.
Yeah, she did. So I want to listen to that one more time.
Do you think that they know what happened
Do you think that they know what happened to
Dylan?
So Chase didn't live out there.
Or Chase did not
And
live
you
out.
see right away, There's the answer. She doesn't answer it. She goes right into Chase doesn't live out there and stuff like that. I was wondering if she's just sort of still questioning if he did have something to do with this or not.
But he was visiting?
He was back and forth between Montello and Ogden.
Wasn't his trailer out?
We were told, and that's Jen's sell it.
Okay.
Wasn't his trailer out?
That's what we were told by everybody. Firearms.
And I guess, yeah, I appreciate that clear, because the way I think that we understand it is he had contact with Dylan around the time Dylan disappeared.
Yeah.
Do you think that there's more here in connection to your son?
I believe so. I mean, Brenner has been listed as an official suspect. And the affidavit that was served to get the warrant on...
I just want to stop one more time, because you notice that when he asked the question, do you think what happened to Dylan? When she starts, she goes right into Chase and she's shaking her head no, just like from a body language little perception. She's shaking her head no. But when she starts to talk about Jim, she's nodding her head yes,
Yeah.
Case, they listed a homicide investigation. That was in the affidavit, and that's thrown up a lot of questions with people. So it did clear.
James Brenner.
That what?
James Brenner.
I think
from the very beginning that the family kind of James.
Yeah. Okay.
In the heavy D
in the heavy D
Sunday
video.
part. Huh?
Huh?
I can't hear you.
There's a really bad echo.
I can hear.
It's because I have my YouTube pulled up on here. I guarantee it. Okay, I'm just gonna play it.
That with law enforcement. So Chase was set to be extradited to Montana, and they didn't want that happening. So wanting that happening tells me something right there. We honestly haven't been told, but that's when they went in and got the search warrant. So in that affidavit, they put in how they word that conjunction with a homicide investigation. Come to find out, you can put anything you want in an affidavit for a warrant. None of it has to be true, but it's what you can put in it and kind of prove to get a judge to sign it faster. And
you know what? I would love to hear Glory, when this is over, if you could answer a question about that. Can you really put anything in an affidavit? Like, is that true? I don't know the answer to that.
That's what held Chase here.
Okay, so I guess we could summarize it by saying the police obviously believe that these guys might know something,
Correct.
or that they're tied into it. But again, they have not to this point been charged. There's been some questions online.
I didn't think that was true. And so if it's not true, this is sort of like another subtle, I don't want to say defense of Chase Venstra, but like, I don't know, not believing. I don't think that Candice sold on Chase. I don't
think she is either.
The first one being, why did Dylan go to this remote area, not in the state where he was living here in Idaho, in high school? Explain what took him to this area.
So we're catching a lot of criticism. A lot of people say we dumped our son out there. That is ridiculous. Dylan heard about this place from another gentleman that he worked with off and on, went and checked it out. Perfect for him. He never had to worry about houses getting moved in on him. Dylan didn't want to go work for him. Dylan wanted to be a big farmer. So when he decided to do this and go out to Lucin, there's no competition. You got water rights, soil, you got the alkali even out a little.
Okay, I'm sorry about the echo, but that's not exactly true, because there was other farmers out there. Dylan was working for them. So no competition. That's inaccurate.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, we know that.
Yeah. Wasn't it Ed working for?
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Wasn't it Ed that he was working for?
Dan Iverson.
Yeah, him too.
Yeah. So, I mean, definitely other farmers out there, and definitely, unless the competition was like they were growing different stuff, so there wouldn't be, I guess. I don't know. But either way, there's other farmers out there, so.
Bit. You want coming up wanting to make your own farm. Dylan couldn't buy ground here in eastern Idaho. Dylan can buy ground in southern Idaho. I mean, you're 10,000, 15,000 an acre. He wasn't thrown out in the desert. He found a place he could farm, and he was helped. He was him, not dump him out in the desert. I mean, and it was perfect, because when Dylan finally got enough stuff together and he's able to go out there and make a go of it, and farm is when COVID hit, so there was no school. He didn't have to go to school. It was canceled. It was perfect for him. It was like everything fell into place.
It always bothers me because it's like sad. Like everything fell into place for this one horrible event to happen to him.
And I think a lot of people might see the area and think that's not farmland because it's not lush brown soil with trees and crops. But he wasn't farming vegetables. He wasn't farming
Correct.
corn.
And see, that whole area was developed 14 years ago. They pulled out. And I've been told it was simpler. I have never called to confirm that because I have no reason to. But like where the grain shed was and where Jim's trailer was and all that, there's like 20 hookups for water, for power. That's where all the farm help out there lived in their campers in the summer. It's not like this place has never been farmed before. It's just when the last people left, nobody's even.
And that's interesting too. That's where all the farm help lived, was at the grain shed. So once again, if Dylan was trying to buy this land, that would mean trouble for Jim. Because Dylan would probably be moving his trailer over there. So
realized it was there to go out and farm it, and Dylan has. He figured it out.
So he went out there. The other thing that a lot of people have asked is that he was involved in some romantic relationship with one or more of the men out there.
Yeah, and you know, when this all started, crazy idea. I mean, we were in such a frantic and we didn't have the help we needed. We're not professionals at this. We didn't know what to do. And it came from a very unreliable source. There is no ground to it whatsoever. There is not a single person who actually knows Dylan that you can say that to that doesn't laugh. You know, it's all that rumor mill started going, and when you're a parent and you're not getting help, you go to anybody, the YouTubers, all of this stuff that we did that's got this fire started. We didn't know any better. You know, we were just trying to get it out there to get help, and it's just turned into a circus. And if people want to follow the circus, they can follow it. Let's find Dylan. And none of you know, rumors and speculation is ridiculous when we have evidence and facts. So that's what us as a family are sticking to, and just staying out of the big circus. All these other people.
I do like very much that she said that.
There were some questions to a few weeks ago, maybe it was around the 4th of July, where you and Box Elder Sheriff's Office, and I believe too, had said, please don't go out there. And some people were saying, well, if it was my kid, I'd be out there searching nonstop. Why don't they want help with the search? Right. Can you address that?
So what people got to realize is the FBI and Box Elder have been out there, and they have been gathering stuff from the soil, from that immediate. They have been all over it. They've had more heavy equipment out there. They've had more dogs out there. They have been all over it. You take somebody who's untrained and just think they're going to go out there and be the hero. They're stepping over the stuff that the FBI and Box Elder County are now gathering, and all these law enforcement agents that are now involved. Us going out there, civilians, we just ruined stuff. I mean, the whole scene, and Call the Crime Scene, that was so tainted from the beginning because of how it was handled. Everything that's there needs to be preserved. And I am not going to go out and go walking through that desert and just stumble across my son, because we have been everywhere. Horses, dogs, air, ATV, search and rescue. I mean, I think we had, 6 choppers out there, multiple planes. I mean, we have covered it now. Now that we've gathered evidence, it's kind of taken a different direction, and we need to let it go that direction, not destroy what's left.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Dylan's birthday.
I'm sure law enforcement's out there. They probably out that area.
Oh yeah. I don't even think that people are allowed to be out there, but I was just listening to her saying, they're collecting stuff from the soil. So would that be blood or what?
Very possible.
Because that forensic team was out there weeks ago. So, she does say in this stream that there's stuff to come back.
And also I thought that it was done it, but to have the dirt that was the wheel well, and find out where it came from.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Coming up.
Yes.
20th?
20th.
On August 1st. And what is that like, knowing that, well, let's hope he's here.
Right, yeah.
For his birthday.
Yeah, hopefully he's here. We've had so many people reach out and asking, so that's why we decided to do the seed tribute.
Yeah, talk about that.
So we're going to do, we want to do sunflowers, because Dylan loves sunflowers. How big they'd grow. He'd grow the giant ones. He was younger. So we were going to be a little late in our season, so that's why we went with the Black Eye Susans, because they kind of look the same, and just We've got people from Australia to South America that have reached out. So we'll have Scotty's and Rigby, some of our local stores in the Hazelton Magic Valley area. I have some help in the Box Elder area. We'll put the packet together, distribute them as best we can, and then for those who can't get their hands on them, just plant something for them.
Do you remember what you did on his 19th birthday last year?
He was fine. Grain harvest. Yeah,
So he was working.
He was working. Yep. Yeah. When he was younger, we'd do fireworks. I'd go to Jackson. We'd do fireworks all the time. But he was always in the fields. I mean, he was born during grain harvest, and he's always in the fields on his birthday. You'll find him and give him lunch. You could, come on, son, I'll take you wherever you want to go. No, I'm working. Okay.
Well, I know when there's missing people's cases, in the beginning you think of every scenario possible.
Right.
You know, are they alive? Are they dead? Where could they be hiding? Are they kidnapped? Whatever it may be. And when those court documents came out that said homicide investigation, and when you've learned more and more that the public may not know, what has the feeling been like in your mind?
Honestly, to have Box Elder switch it and say those words has been a relief, because what needs to be done is getting done. We pretty much all knew from the first day we went out there, and I know people think that's horrible to say, and nobody wanted to believe it, especially us. Justin and I, we didn't want to believe it, but we both know our son, and we know nothing would take him away from his farm. Absolutely nothing. Not even for a day. He had to get the rest of that seed in the ground. Nothing would have taken him away from them. So it was just one of those gut feelings where you don't want it to be true. It's your parents' worst nightmare. But when you have a kid like Dylan and his patterns and his drive and his passion has been there, since he was a little kid, and that's his baby, we knew he wouldn't leave. There's no way. Not just not leave, but leave without his pickup. Leave without his boots. All the stuff was right in front of us from day one. It was all right there.
So what happens now?
We wait. There's a lot of stuff being processed. So hopefully that'll give us a few more answers. There's been some stuff that has been processed that's given us some answers. And we hope one of these two guys talks.
And we know that so far Dylan has not been found.
Correct.
But again, his birthday is August 1st, so they're packets of seeds. Yep. And you're asking people that are interested to plant them in his honor. Yeah.
And like I said, there'll be Scotty's and Rigby. They'll have a couple thousand of them, and they'll kind of be everywhere. And people can go to the Facebook page and request them. And you don't have to get the ones from us. Just we've got trees dedicated to him. I mean, we've got people they love the kid.
How have you all been holding up? I mean, it's been 2 months. There's a lot of nasty commenters, people saying stuff online. How has your family been?
We're okay. We're the comments, the focus that has come on to, especially me. That was driven by me. I'm the one who caused the fire to get the focus off of the negativity towards Dylan. I'm fine. People can say whatever they want. The people who know me. The people, like I said, that want to follow the circus, they should be ashamed. You're talking about a young man missing, and you are out there pointing fingers about the parents and their past and stuff that's just so ridiculous. I abandoned my kids for 3 years. No. It's astronomical, the stuff that people come up with and want to believe. The kids have been back and forth between me and Justin since we got divorced 15 years ago. Just all of this craziness that's been portrayed onto the family, it did what we wanted. It took it off of Dylan. I mean, these YouTube videos now, all this stuff that's going on, they don't even hardly mention Dylan's name. They're on a witch hunt for the family. So I guess if that makes people feel like they're doing something to help bring Dylan home, there's no sense in even trying to dispute it with them, because they got their mind made up, and it doesn't help any of us.
And you all have one official Facebook page.
Yes.
With official updates that you can follow.
Yep.
I don't think she said that. Yeah.
Hopefully there will be big developments.
I mean, we just
Yeah,
went
I'm
and I
hoping
didn't
so.
see it.
I didn't see
Hang
it.
on, Synthia.
I didn't see it either.
Yeah. No. I have to say that I don't think that was said in that video, because we didn't hear it. So we just played it, and it wasn't in there. But that's the thing, guys. There's so much information. We do this as well. Like, we think we heard something, we'll go back and listen to it or something like that. And feeling super duper sorry. Have watched lots of interviews this weekend, but I definitely heard it for the first time lately. Okay, yeah, it's understandable. Another rabbit hole, sure. Yep. So there was another comment, Synthia. I don't know. It was a little bit further down.
All right, I'm just scrolling back real quick. Was it in relation to the grain shed, or
I'm
do you
not
know?
sure. It caught my eye, but the chat was moving. So
All right. I had to be on mute during that whole thing because of that echo. Every time I talked, I could hear the echo.
yeah, I think it's because it was being streamed through my way, which is it's like it should have been streamed through yours. I think that's where the echo.
Was it this comment from Glory?
Glory, I think they are just hoping to find a body before pressing charges since the primary people are all in jail. There's no hurry. Yeah, and I was saying that the other night, but it does sound to me like Candice is just not completely sold. But then at the end, she does say there has been stuff that have given us answers, and we just need one of these two men to talk. So yeah.
I kind of think that at this point, I mean, we might find out that Chase wasn't involved. Maybe that's how she feels. But I think that just right now, law enforcement is trying to hang on to anyone that could be involved. Like, that's just their primary concern. It's just making sure that they're keeping these potential suspects. And it's so weird because Chase still hasn't been deemed an official suspect by law enforcement. But then it says that thing about the homicide investigation in the paperwork.
Yeah.
And then with James, he was named an official suspect in the paperwork, but like it doesn't really give a lot of detail. So it's really weird.
No. And that's weird to me as well. It's just, how was Chase involved, if so? Like, in what capacity? Like, if they're not comfortable yet to call him a suspect as they did Brenner, what role did he actually play, even though they did execute that search warrant in conjunction with a homicide, which I think it's obvious that had to do with Dylan. But then they do that, and then they don't call him a suspect yet. It's just a little... they didn't wait with Brenner to say it. So why would they wait with him if is what they've gotten back, hasn't proven Chase to be there yet. And they're still waiting for more stuff to come back. Possible, I guess. Karmic, she's limited in what she can say. Yes, of course. Of course she is. And there's no doubt in my mind that obviously the family knows more than we do. It's just I thought it was interesting that, she sort of just, I feel like, I don't know, and I could be wrong. I just feel like Candice is like maybe on the fence a little bit about Chase, but not about Brenner at all.
Yeah.
So,
and in that Heavy D video, like his was the very first video about Dylan, right? On YouTube?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. They sounded like when he asked about the farmhands, which is like Dawn and Jim, they sounded like they were suspicious of them. Like the parents, both parents, Candice and Justin.
Yeah, well, how can you not be, Karmic,
Yeah.
Is it possible Brenner confessed and refuses to give up location of Dylan as others are involved? Then there's redacted. I don't know if she's trying to say documents but I mean, maybe. I just don't know how they're going to get Brenner to talk. Like, I always think about that in my head. They already have him dead to rights with the guns. So he just very well could feel like I don't have... Oh, Don. Okay, sorry. I just very well feel like he could be like, I'm not telling them. Like, I'm already going down for these guns. So I'm just not going to say.
And he also has been refusing like paperwork for court and stuff like that. Like I've seen that, like they tried to serve him paperwork and it said that he was served while in county jail or attempted service. So I'm like, attempted, does that mean he like denied like receiving it? Or it just seems weird. Like he really doesn't want to talk to anyone.
The people that are like surrounding him don't they all are like, oh no, he's not a part of this. But then he knows all this stuff. He knows the FBI's told him this allegedly and this and that, and Dylan's phone's been found, and Like, it's just really strange to me. I mean, you hid Brenner's guns. You're a witness now. And how do you not know something? You have to know something to be a witness. Like, it has to be
Yeah.
more than just the guns. Like, you have to know something. They're not just going to say that.
Yeah.
How are you? What are you a witness to? You're a witness to something. James doing something. And so it's weird to me that like everyone's like, oh no, Don didn't really have anything to do with this. Well, he's a freaking witness. Like, I don't know. It's just, yeah, Will, add drugs to that. Yeah, I know. We've definitely talked about the drug element.
And then Will also said he may not be able to give an exact location. That's not altogether uncommon. Add in the desert, and he may only be able to give an area. I mean, I guess that makes sense, especially, well, we don't know like what time Dylan would have been disposed of, I guess, if that's what happened. If it was at nighttime, for sure, like it would be difficult to find your way back to that area. And then also, if you go to an area that you don't know, because the desert's so like vast, it's possible.
No, I've kind of thought that about that too. Like, would they be able to give, like, would he place him somewhere where like there's a marker of some sort, maybe a little bush or maybe something like that, just so he knows. But I think obviously it would be smarter just to bury him around nothing. So it's just so vast. Like, how are you going to find it? It's just like Candice said. Like, you're not gonna walk out in that desert and just walk across, find my son.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the drone footage again. MOB's drone footage. I love their drone footage. It really does show so much just of the area, and you just see how incredibly vast this is. So without them talking, I think your better bet would probably be Chase. Because it's just my gut feeling that Brenner's just like, nope. Because
Yeah,
he
and that's
has
if they
nothing to lose.
and that's if Jim and Chase work together. If Jim and Chase didn't work together, then Chase has nothing to tell. I do feel just like Will said, I think JB is the person. I do feel more so that Jim had something to do with this for sure. I mean, if something happened to Dylan at that grain shed, I just don't find it believable that he wouldn't have heard anything. He was literally right next to it. How does something go down and potentially a scuffle? Because Dylan didn't seem like the person that would go down without a fight. How does something go down and you don't hear that and you're right next to where it's happening?
I don't know. Like, you tell me. I really don't know. What happened
And
to
then
my
the hat.
name?
We keep going back to that. He was wearing Dylan's hat.
Oh, oops.
There you
I didn't
are.
want to be on because my green screen's so bad.
Okay.
But my little name has disappeared. Where did I go? I'm a shed pentagram looking star thing or something now. That's all I am, Synthia. I've been reduced to that. Vindicate me, Synthia. Put my name back, for Christ's sake. Sorry. Will, oh, I love that comment. The victimology leads to James Brenner. Please speak more on that. I love when people start talking about victimology because it's so important. Like, it's like the first thing you do. Will,
Colleen
can
likes your
you?
background with the green screen, by the way.
Oh God. Oh well, this is what I was doing. Like in the beginning, I was like, this looks really bad. Like, so I was like, but all the tweakers like out in Montello, they'll probably like this. They'll probably like be able to relate. Like, oh, cool, I can actually watch the screen and it looks normal to me. So, but anyway, sorry. So, but yeah, if you could expand on that, please, Will. What led you to think that the victimology leads to James Brenner? And I'm just very curious about your thoughts on that.
He said, well, Dylan was in lower risk, but put into a higher risk situation. We already know that JB is a medium risk offender. Medium risk?
Well,
I feel like maybe high risk just because of the attempted murder before.
yes. But maybe, yeah, I feel like he would be more high risk because of his relationship with Dylan, the fighting,
Doesn't
but
it
not
feel like
getting
this
along.
this guy was enabled to do this? Like if he for sure we find out is the one that did this to Dylan by himself, it's like he's been enabled to do this. So he attempted to murder someone back in like 1986. He beat up an elderly man just like a year ago. He's beaten up several other people. He's done just all kinds of violent things. And he had this warrant for an entire year that he was just now brought in for. So it's like, had he been in jail a year ago, this might not have happened.
So Will is saying medium because of that was anger. There's a typo in there. Medium because of that was anger. Or you read it, Synthia. I'm so bad at reading comments. I screw them up every time.
Medium because of that was anger, not breaking into a place to commit a crime. He committed a crime of instant anger.
Yeah, but that's what we're saying. Like he kind of has that background of doing that.
So he was high
I
risk
love,
for flying off the handle and snapping.
yeah, like no, I love the fact that Will's just bringing up victimology. Period. JB wasn't going out of comfort zone to do crime.
That's true.
Okay, that is true. That makes him medium. Okay. All right. Well, thank you. See, learn something every stream. Because I would like instantly say like high risk, but what you're saying, I see what you're saying. Hey, Graham. Hi, Rainy Joe.
Graham James said, I heard he tried to murder someone in Maryland or somewhere. Yes,
Yes.
he did. That was and wasn't it reduced too from like attempted murder to like a malicious shooting?
Yeah, but he tried to take someone out. He even tried to do that in Montello. Kurt recounted that story to me. I believe, did he recount that as well to Salty Pancakes? Synthia, do you know?
I don't know. I don't recall. Just
Okay.
because he said a lot of the same things to you that he said in his salty interviews.
Yeah, feeling super duper. Don didn't help police until he was pressured to. Exactly. And he still even lied after giving up the guns. He still didn't give up the 22. Like, and I'm sorry, I don't think it's a very, like, that is not a reasonable answer for why didn't you give this weapon up? Oh, well, because, that owner, like, owed me money. Okay, there's a missing young man. And, it just, that sounds like a BS answer to me. It just does.
Kathleen said, I heard on another channel JB was a mule for motorcycle gang sundowners, and Dylan did a lot of driving and stayed in a hotel together and squatting nearby. Dylan knew something on JB.
Now, that is very interesting because Dylan did, quote unquote, live with James Brenner in Idaho in a hotel room as they were working. So they were doing a job together. They rented a hotel room together and stayed there for like 2 months, according to Kurt. So was he in a motorcycle gang? Like, did he drive a motorcycle? Because I thought James Brenner had a truck. Did he also have a motorcycle? Are we aware of that?
The other interesting thing to me is I'm wondering if the reason why James Brenner was out at the grain shed. I mean, I know that supposedly he was sent out there by the owner of the property to kind of look over it, but
Yeah.
I kind of feel like maybe it had something to do with his warrant because he had somewhere to live in Montello. He had like an RV to stay in, which was at Kurt's house. So like, why did he suddenly go move way out there? I mean, I know that the owner of the property wanted to get him out of Montello because of the fights he was getting into, but But I kind of wonder if it was also that warrant from the fight where it was kind of like they were trying to help him hide from law enforcement, maybe.
Yeah, that's really interesting. This is the first I'm hearing about anything of a motorcycle gang that he could have muled for. Yeah, because I guess you're right. I guess they're right that you don't have to be in the club to mule for them. I mean, but um, and I have asked that question before. Like, was James Brenner, why was he so freaking bothered about Dylan with the grain shed? Was it really just a fence, or what was it? Like, why did that make you so angry that whenever he would pull his grain truck in there? Like, were you doing something inside of there? Do you have things inside of there? You know. Kathleen just found out there's guys in jail with him now. Really? Kathleen, are you from the area?
Yeah, this whole situation is just so convoluted. There's so many
Okay.
people connected surrounding Dylan, like all of them are connected in some way.
Yes. Will, I heard on a phone call from Kurt's daughter that James Brenner and that fence would be enough motive for James Brenner. Possibly with his angry little temper. But I feel like there was something a little bigger at play.
Well,
just
Kurt keeps saying that he's been framed, and if Kurt doesn't feel like James could have done this, then I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah. There's so much to think about and mule over with it. It's like Big Bad Time. Was just on another live stream. Hell's Angels there, Sundowners. Karmic. I don't think a motorcycle gang was involved, in my opinion. Glory. I wouldn't be surprised if law enforcement has undercover cops in jail, butting up to Jim and Chase. You would think. You would think they would have some plans, and guaranteed, any phone calls that they may make or something like that, they're going to be listening to that. So, I mean, that's even how they found out that Chase's guns was through listening to his phone calls with Robert Aviles. So, Chase might not be making that mistake this time. So I don't know if he's just going to shut all the way up or what.
Well, I think if Chase had something to do with this for sure, and that's what we find out eventually. Robert seems like the best person for them to be having in jail because I feel like he might talk. He might be the one that would talk out of all three that are in jail right now. And he's not even, no charges have been filed against him. He's just sitting in jail.
Yeah, because he's a witness. I guarantee. Yeah. Like, there's just no doubt about that. So it's, I don't know. There's so much to go over and over, and we find out more and more. I am interested just to hear about the motorcycle gang and make my own determination. And just because it's just hard for me to believe that James had no other contact than Dylan or Don. Like, clearly he did. And that's what I'm saying. There has to be people that know James Brenner other than these people. There has to be somebody else, something else, somebody else. So I don't know.
Will said that's just from what she said. Many people keep saying JB had a bad temper. He drank a lot. Dylan calling him at 6 a.m. maybe enough to really set him off. Didn't Dylan break into the fence though? So would he have had to have called James to let him in?
Kurt told me he took it down and James put another one up. So,
Yeah, so it definitely sounds like he would have been
like, that's like some petty neighbor stuff. Like, that's some stuff like But you wonder, because Kurt also said to me that, James was doing work for the owner. So you want to bring Ed Hirschberger back into this, because if James is doing work for him, Dylan's trying to buy it from him.
Yeah.
Kurt talks to Ed, and he my impression is quite a bit. So you have that whole thing going on with James, like, okay, like, I'm working here, like, I have the keys for this, and then, whatever. And then Dylan, like, well, I'm renting this, so, like, I need to get in, and you're being an a-hole or whatever, and they're going back and forth with each other. It does seem very power driven, very, yeah.
But what work would he have been doing though? It didn't really seem like that was operational.
I have no idea. And that's a great question. And that's also, that makes you think about, just people that I've talked to, why every time they bring up Ed, they'll say something about him. Oh, Ed, blah, 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 blah. And then when I go to follow up question with them, they just backpedal. Oh,
Yeah.
he doesn't have anything to do with this. Well, I'm just curious, like, what kind of work James did for you exactly.
Yeah, Kurt did that on his interview with Salty. Salty was like, "Oh, you keep on bringing up this Ed guy. He seems like he's an important part of this. Maybe we should talk with Ed." And Kurt was like, "Oh, I don't really want to drag Ed into this." But everyone seems to mention Ed.
Yeah, they do. And then they always backpedal. Will's saying, I think this is a direct cause homicide, not money motivated. Something sparked off. However it happened, it led to something bad. It could have been just that. Yeah, there is totally, that's on the table with him just snapping. But there's just been so many other things said that, Kurt said to me, I wouldn't be surprised if Dylan owed everyone out here a lot of money, and stuff like that. So there's definitely been some talk of money for sure.
With what Will said, the only reason why I still suspect somebody else was involved is because James Brenner didn't have a running vehicle. I mean, I suppose if he really wanted to, he could have walked all the way back to Dylan's farm and used Dylan's truck to do whatever he needed to do, but it just
Will, I'm gonna disagree with that. Just for exactly what Carmick said, the FBI is not gonna come in for like just an accident. And they have evidence against Brenner. Please don't forget that part as well. So officially naming him a suspect. I don't believe that this was any sort of accident. Hey, Black Dove, how are you? Hey, Black, would you be willing to come up and speak?
we were actually just talking about him right before we went live.
Yeah. Love your analytical yet heartfelt minds. I'm okay, I guess. Okay, cool. Synthia, you'll just need to send him a link.
All right.
He's got to go pee first, but that's okay. Go ahead.
Actually, I'm going to take a break real quick too. Can you handle it real quick for a few minutes?
Yeah, I think I can do it, Cynthia. I think I can. I'm gonna Thomas engine this. Go for it. So, okay. Well, I say accident because of habit. It allows offenders to admit to crimes without taking such a bad person view of themselves. Okay. Read technique. Very interesting, Will. I'm finding you to be a very interesting person. I would like to know more about the read technique, by the way. Rainy Joe, at Will, I meant that it was a crime of opportunity, not an accident. Okay. So that's Rainy Joe's opinion. I'll tell you, my brain's so convoluted with just all the information, all the different people and all the different things they've said. It just, there's been several different like stories painted for me. And also one that I've come to on my own. And it's read technique. Oh, okay. Yes. Read technique is used in interrogation. Okay. Thank you. Um, what's a HAMC? Karmic is asking Jizzy. Okay, well, it's an interrogation method that allows information to come out while reducing the offender's emotional connection to the crime. Thank you. Thank you for that. You are loved. Hell's Angels and Chapter, Jess. Yeah, I'm just interested to hear about that. That's interesting. Because James Brenner, again, like what we know of him is just his record. We don't really know, like, who was this person. Hell's Angels Motorcycle Club Sundowners Chapter. Has this been verified in some sort of way? Black, how do I disable camera on Restream? Are you could go to your settings and do it that way. Just cross out the camera button. The whole Hell's Angels thing hasn't been confirmed or vetted. There was a Sundowners that was busted up a while back by feds. Okay. So this is just something that is being theorized and spoken about. Rainy Joe, we have the biggest motorcycle rally in the country here in South Dakota, and I know Jim was in South Dakota. How do you know that, Rainy? How do you know he was in South Dakota? People there would hear a ton of motorcycles going through. Yes. Someone came in and claimed to know James Brenner, apparently, but it wasn't vetted. Okay. So I'm asking Rainy. Rainy, how do you know that Jim was in South Dakota exactly? You're back.
He was in South Dakota. I did see something about that when I was searching for him.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's interesting.
He's been in North Dakota too, and Nebraska, and Maryland, Minnesota, and I think he was born in Pennsylvania.
Gloria is saying, I see a few articles mentioning Sundowners in Salt Lake, which that's, it's a little ways away, but it would be something to look into. I don't see the harm in looking into it. And if it's, if it's unfounded, it's unfounded. If it's not, definitely something to explore.
I'm just reading through the comments trying to catch up.
You might have to send another link for Dove. I don't know if it's got lost in the chat, but he was trying to disable his camera, which I think he'll be able to figure out. But Sundowners would probably go to that huge rally in South Dakota. Its name eludes me. That's really interesting.
I don't really think a biker gang has anything to do with this, though. I don't. I think that the FBI is on the right path.
No, but it would be interesting if Brenner was a mule for them. I think that would be interesting.
That's possible.
But again, mules gotta like move, and Brenner didn't look like the kind of guy that moved a whole bunch. So, hi, Black.
Hi, Black Day. How are you doing?
Pretty good. Can you guys hear me okay?
Dove tonight?
Yeah, we can hear you fine. Do you have any anything to add to this conversation?
I've missed much of it, to be quite honest.
Okay. We just kind of went over Chase Venstra's court documents again, where the homicide investigation was mentioned. And then we were talking about James Brenner wearing or potentially wearing Dylan's hat. It looked just like the same hat that Dylan owned. And we've also kind of talked about the boots. Like, why were they so close to the grain shed? Like, why would it be such an afterthought to throw them there? But then we were also kind of talking about, well, if he was not smart enough to take Dylan's hat off before going to help look for him, maybe that's why he would have thrown the boots
It's
back there.
extremely unintelligent.
Yes.
It just is. If you had the
Yeah,
wherewithal to murder someone, bury their body, take their phone, take their wallet, but you didn't have the intelligence, which, a fifth grader would understand that you need to put the boots somewhere. But they were like literally pretty much like in his backyard, just laying out there. That just does not make sense. And then you're walking around with his hat. And then with Kurt's insistence that he was framed.
Yeah.
But
who is framed?
he never answers me as to who framed him.
Kurt keeps on
James
saying
Brenner,
that,
you mean?
yeah, Kurt keeps on saying that James Brenner was framed, but he doesn't elaborate on like who framed him. And then Kurt also said that if he were to give a guess, that Don would probably have more to do with this than Jim. So that was an interesting thing.
So I didn't hear the thing where Kurt said that Don would have more to do with this than Jim. What I
That's
did
because
hear,
it wasn't
however,
said on air. It was said to me privately.
Yeah. Yes.
and
Yeah.
everybody's basically taken Don off their radar, and I've never had him off my radar for 1 second. The thing
Same.
that really, pardon?
Me either.
Same.
I agree with you that Don is highly suspicious.
Very. And Ty Corbin has met him and says he thinks that he's a good guy and all that stuff. And I generally trust Ty Corbin's judgment. However, I beg to differ with him there.
Yeah.
For multiple reasons. Number
Well,
one,
it's okay. Go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
No, go ahead. You go.
Okay.
I'm poking you. We're like doing the poke thing. You go. No, you go. No, you go.
Yeah.
You go. Go ahead.
So on your stream, I first learned the name of Don H, like his real name, because you put it out there. Nobody knew it until you put it on your stream, Jess. And
Oh, it's on mine first, just to let you know.
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Synthia actually found that. So.
And were those court documents unredacted after the fact? Because that's really weird too.
They were unredacted, but I ended up blurring out his name. So I redacted them. I never saw them redacted. Like when I got them, they were unredacted. But I ended up blurring out his name only because he hasn't been named as a suspect, and I just don't want to like implicate anyone that law enforcement hasn't. But at some point in time, I took it off the documents. I think that was when I did like the reveal thing on my video.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I did actually repeat that. Now, basically everybody on all these streams knows his name. So,
Yeah.
well, okay.
There's other names, and I found your email very interesting. So,
right. That's the stuff I don't want to talk about on air because that's my theory that, there's certain things that would be irresponsible to say if those things come to fruition, and it could jeopardize something, if you catch my drift. So,
yes.
The thing about James Brenner, pardon?
Which is why we haven't really elaborated a lot on some of the things that we have found out, because that stuff has been relayed to the FBI. We don't feel that it should be content if it can hurt.
I could probably, I don't know, Synthia, spend a week on here with just straight content of it.
There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. But there's and I did say that there's so much that has been said that people just don't know. And I agree with you that not everything is for public consumption at this point. If we see resolution in this case, I would have no problem going over that stuff at that time, but just not right now. And there's things that I'm willing to say and stuff, and then definitely things that I'm not. So
it's just my opinion, like based on the stuff that we know about. And I know, Jess, that you have your own feelings about it, but I do believe that there potentially, if that's where the investigation goes, there could be another person, 2 other people that could be arrested. That's just my opinion. Just my opinion.
Yeah. Okay. That's, yep, taking a drink as well.
2 other people that I find
Water.
suspicious. I'll just say that. Dawn is one of them.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Same.
There's one other person then outside of Dawn that I feel is suspicious.
But back to the boots thing, that is something that's rather interesting. Like, even if James Brenner is a complete moron, you would think that he wouldn't leave boots that would be incriminating right by his trailer. And the reason for that is everything else seems so cleaned up, so well put together in terms of a cover-up. And, you know, Dylan's gone without a trace, basically, other than what the FBI's forensically analyzed. And it's like, if this guy's such an idiot, how could he possibly have done that by himself? You know, how could he have taken Dylan away?
It does
without
not make
trace?
sense.
No, not a bit.
Just simply put, it does not make sense.
And that's why I keep obsessing over that, is because it's like, none of this makes sense.
Yeah, and it's not like, you know, because, you know, I'm seeing a lot more people like say, you know, he just snapped and did this. Okay, if that happens, he still had time, lots of time actually, to get rid of those boots, and yet he did not.
2 days.
2 days. That does not make sense. Why would you hide him, his phone, his wallet, and not his boots that are literally like basically in your backyard?
Yeah.
And then you again with Kurt. Kurt was very insistent with me that James Brenner was being framed, but when I would question him as to who was framing him, did not have an answer.
He did on the Salty interviews, though.
What did he say in that interview? All the way, he had people he named as who he thought said. Oh, do tell.
Yes, he did. He elaborated that, well, chronologically, this apparently started with Dylan being in the bar talking to a woman named Ann Iverson, who was being eavesdropped upon by Tom Hardy. And I guess Kurt was eavesdropping on them. So he knew that this conversation took place, according to him. And then he says that Tom Hardy was the mastermind behind all of this. But he also said something completely different. He also said...
Okay, both of those names are familiar to me.
They are.
He also said, he didn't mince words when he said it either, that Candice paid somebody to do this to Dylan. So he's got 2 competing theories there.
Well, he absolutely despises Candice. There is zero doubt. He has made that very clear. He is not a Candice fan. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. So now Dan Iverson is very interesting because Kurt said the first time that I talked to him that Dylan had came to the area to weld for Dan Iverson, who owns Barrow's Ranch.
Mm-hmm.
And he needed some sort of metal or something. And that's how Kurt comes into the picture. Kurt's like, oh, you know, I have some metal and, you know, like you can use it. But Dylan did do work for Dan Iverson, and he feels unreachable to me. Like, as a person that reaches out to speak to these people in this case, this man feels unreachable to me. But
wait, can I ask you something? Is it Dan or Ann, a woman?
It's Dan.
It's Dan.
And it's
not Dan. Okay.
It's not Iverson either. It's Iverson. There's no R.
Oh.
Was I saying that wrong?
No. I think Black Dove said Iverson, but maybe that's how he heard Kurt pronounce it.
That is how I heard it.
Yeah. I've also noticed a lot of names being changed. You've noticed that, right, Jess? Like there's a lot of the time that we'll hear like some random name thrown out, or it'll be like changed. It'll be like the first name with like some other last name or vice versa. And we're like, what? And then we'll find out the person's name and it's not the same name that's being thrown out.
Yes, they often change their names. They will misspell them purposely. That's been a running theme throughout this. But is Iverson the one who paid? Yes, he is. Yes, Glory. So I would absolutely love to talk to that guy.
I thought Dylan was paid at the farm though. So now someone else is saying that
what Kurt said was that Dan had brought the check to Dylan in a white envelope, and he saw him give it to him, and Dylan put it in the driver door, of his truck. Yeah. So, but Kurt said, I didn't know what was in it, and I didn't ask because it's none of my business, right? And I was like, right. Mm-hmm. So, but obviously, he told about it, and the source that told me that would, I don't think Kurt would disagree with. So obviously Dylan told people at the bar about this check. So yes, but that did come from Dan.
Tom Hardy's name kind of rings a bell to me because wasn't there a suspicious truck that was spotted on the day that Dylan went missing at 1:00 p.m. Between Tom Hardy's property and another person named Don H. Not Don Hatley, but Don H. I don't want to give his last name, but there was a suspicious truck spotted out there.
Yes, and it was really weird because this was posted on Facebook. It was posted on May 28th.
It was
the day Dylan went missing, and it was a person, that lived out there, like a resident, and they were like, "Hey, like this truck's out here. I don't know who it is." They took a picture of it. They were farther away, but they said they could see it with their scope. That picture has always bothered me too because it's like one of those weird things that happens that could be everything or nothing, but it's always those tiny things that people say or do that leads you to what really is going on, or at least I find it to be that way. So yeah, but there was a picture that was posted that day of this truck that nobody knows. They sat there, right? And they didn't. Yeah.
And Dawn was saying that the person looked like they were upset or something like that. I need to go back and read it. Maybe that's not what he said. But someone in the comments
I don't remember that part, but
yeah, I think someone in the comments was maybe insinuating that.
No, Will.
I've never even heard this part.
But when he was getting ready to go and approach them and ask them what they were doing, the person jumped in the truck and drove off really fast.
And this is the other Don H, not Don Hatley?
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's two Don H's out there.
Yes. I'm trying to pull it up to show you guys, but I'm frozen right now, unfortunately.
That's okay. Yeah. Thank you, Colleen. Thank you. Yes. If you are enjoying the stream, go ahead and hit the thumbs up. It helps. So that's my bit. That's as far as I go with advertising. Synthia. I'm a terrible salesman. I can't it's not my thing, but I do appreciate what people say.
Chrome is completely not responding, and it's on my right. Oh my goodness, I can't talk. It's on my Restream tab, so I hope
just pull it up on your phone. Pull it up on phone and just read it. And maybe you could kind of just show the cam. We're not going to be able to see it as well, but either way, it's
got to hit your computer with malware bytes.
Do what?
I said you need to hit your computer with malware bytes.
I have no idea.
Cybersecurity and building computers. Oh boy.
I trust you.
Okay,
though.
yeah.
You sound like you know
building and building and fixing computers is kind of my gig.
Yeah.
who couldn't turn his camera off. So he can tell you about that, but
Well, I figured it out. I've never used this restream thingy before.
I'm joking. I'm joking with you.
No, I'm just
Miss
double
Nikki,
D's.
I see your comments and I'm reading them. Yes, I know, Karmic. Every time you go on Chrome with Freestream, it doesn't let you share your screen. You got to use Firefox for it. But Miss Nikki, okay, I need to read that comment. It's because Candice was selling meth for Ed Hirschberger, and she owed lots of money. So Kurt, okay, I can't see it anymore, but I see you. I think you're the one that keeps saying that Kurt did this. You seem very absolute in that opinion. And you're welcome to it.
All right, I'm just gonna edit his name out of here.
Renee, please ask Black Dove about the biker guy from the other show.
Yeah, there was some biker guy named HAMC talking in the other chat on the other show, saying stuff about boots being removed as a sign of disrespect for somebody, and that he knows somehow is connected to James Brenner. I don't know how true that is or not. Like, he didn't call in or anything, so.
So he was just in the chat.
Yeah.
All right, so you guys see this?
It's interesting.
Can you see the post?
Yeah, I can see the picture, and it really, I mean, you could go on Facebook and look at it, but it's more interesting what this person says and when it was posted.
It says 1 p.m. There is a white male with reddish hair and a long red beard and a dark blue pickup truck parked by the side of 233rd between Tom Hardy's place and my property. I'm watching him through my spotting scope, and he's just staring at everything. I'm sure he sees me watching him, but he doesn't seem to care. If he keeps hanging out, I'm going to go over and greet him. Unfortunately, I can't see his license plate because there is brush in the way.
So again, that was posted May 28th, the day Dylan went missing at like 1 p.m.
Yep.
This local person posts that. So.
Damn.
Yeah.
Not sure if it has anything to do with it, but it's interesting.
It's odd. It's interesting.
Yeah, it is.
What's the proximity of this dude and this truck that was spotted out there to either the grain shed or Dylan's farm?
I don't have the answer.
Yeah, I haven't looked into that either. It's in Montello, I believe. So
no, Lucin, you mean?
You think so? Maybe.
Yeah, that was in Lucin.
Okay.
Well, Lucin's where the farm and the grain shed are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Will you look back at that?
Well, I know
Synthia?
it was posted in the Montello group, but that might not have anything to do with it. Maybe you're right. Maybe it was Lucin.
I don't know where Tom Hardy's property actually is. Do you?
Let me see if I can look it up real quick.
I also heard you mentioning Will. Yeah, he's got a lot of good intel.
Yeah, I noticed that. I've really enjoyed what he's been saying. Talking about victimology. He's been talking about his comments are very interesting. Graham, has he informed the FBI? There was talk in the thread of that post, and I believe they said yes.
He hadn't turned it in himself, but he was saying that people had hit him up in his inbox saying that they were going to report it. He doesn't know whether or not they did. And he said he would be willing to talk with law enforcement if they were to ask him about it, but that he didn't know any more than what he put in the post.
Yeah. That. Renee, I don't know. He just wants to inform Ty about somewhere to search. No one's going to announce they're a Hell's Angel in some YouTube live about a murder case. Yeah. But if you're just an anonymous chatter, You're not coming up on a panel or anything or showing your face or anything like that. You never know. It's just
Yeah. By the way, the property must be in Montello because it's not coming up in Lucin.
Glory, the biker gang might be a red herring to deflect attention. So you guys are like some of you are like, that's BS. And then some of you guys are like, there might be something to that.
Well, I'm not sure what a biker gang would have to do with Dylan Rounds going missing.
Well, it just would be interesting if Brenner was a mule for them, because I've often wondered why Dylan parking in that grain shed made him so angry. Like that really upset him. Kurt said that he would get really pissed off. And they had this whole fight over the fence and stuff. So I've just often wondered, like, did he have something in that grain shed? What was pissing him off so bad about that? Why was that so annoying to him? Or was it just annoying?
Well, it could just be as simple as James Brenner is an asshole.
Yeah.
And he didn't like a 19-year-old kid telling him what to do or, intruding on his space that he didn't really own.
Yeah. Yeah, because Kurt said that Brenner worked at Hirschberger. So I guess you would have this scenario where, he's working for him. He has the keys to this fence. Dylan is renting the grain shed, also wanting to buy it. He's talking to Ed. And, they're having these spats about the fence, and Dylan knocked the fence over or took it down. James puts up something else. Like this really petty stuff. But I don't know. Like, some part of me says, yeah, he just snapped. But then another part of me says, like, well, wait a minute. But that doesn't really make sense. And that doesn't make sense. And there's a ton of discrepancies.
You mean as far as such a precise cover-up and then the placement of the boots right outside James Brenner's doorstep?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because James Brenner does seem like the kind of person who would snap and kill somebody. He's shot at people and tried to kill them since the 80s. But he's an idiot. Very clearly an idiot with a low IQ. So how could he possibly do all of what he did and get away with it so cleanly to the point where he was not on anybody's radar for such a long time, including, like, this is what bothers me too, right? Like, the family knew of James Brenner. They knew that he was a, quote, crazy old man in the desert, according to Candice. And you'd think that if your kid is living out there, that you'd do a little bit of research into who this crazy old man is and just what he's capable of if he's living next to your son. And there's a lot of that doesn't make sense to me, in addition to the fact that James Brenner was at the grain shed, which, according to Candice in her latest interview, has approximately 20 water and power hookups.
Yes.
Right? But Dylan was living 5 miles away from there with no reliable source of electricity, no reliable source of clean water to shower or drink or any of that stuff.
We were talking about this.
Oh, sorry.
No. I'm saying, like, we had already, like, talked about this because you're bringing up a good point. If Dylan was going to buy that land, everything he would need would be right there. We would assume that he's going to move his trailer there and then bye James. Like, I don't have to deal with your shit anymore. Like, goodbye. And so that would pose a threat and a nuisance between the two of them, an anger, so is it possible that he did it all by himself? I guess, but does other things not add up? No, they don't.
Didn't Kurt say several times, though, that Dylan had threatened to throw James Brenner off that land once he bought it as well?
It was implied. He didn't overtly say that, I don't think.
I'm not recalling that as clearly.
It was
But, I mean,
implied by
talked to Kurt
somebody.
so much. Huh?
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just saying, like, I've talked to him so much. Like, I have to think about, like, there's just certain things that Kurt said that stick out to me, but there was so much conversation. It, like, off the top of my head, I can't remember, like, every last thing. Things come to me, like, discussions like this as we're talking, you know, different things will come back of what he said. So, Will, I do believe that that was the cause of truck damage. He's saying with Dylan hitting the fence. Yes.
Yeah, but
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, didn't Candice say in an interview that his truck had already been damaged at some point by a snowmobile or something like that?
Did she? I don't
Kurt
know.
also said that it was damaged because he was teasing him about it on the 27th after the truck was
Oh,
supposed to be
yes.
pressure washed.
That wasn't Kurt, but that was another source. But yes,
Sammy?
that they were. Yeah, and then also, you know, him helping him fix the truck and this tool and that's a whole other rabbit hole we can go down. But
There's too many of those with this case, in my opinion.
yes. Yes, you know, it's so this is what drives me crazy. Is that I want so badly to just apply Occam's razor to this and say yes. James Brenner snaps and he did this and he's the guy. And Chase may know something about something. But my gut and what I know is saying, no, I don't think so. I don't think that's the whole thing. And
Well, there's a problem with
I'm like
Occam's
torn
razor.
between those two feelings.
I was going to
What?
say there's a big problem with Occam's razor, which is that the full thing is that all things being equal, the simplest theory is the correct one or whatever. But all things don't seem to be equal in this because there's so many different moving parts.
Well, no. I mean, I don't think it's implying that everything's equal. It's
Well,
just
that's the
saying
razor
that,
states.
huh?
That's what the quote actually is, I believe. All things being equal, the simplest explanation is usually the correct one, or something along those lines.
Is it? Because I always just go with the simplest answer is the correct one part.
I don't know. I
So
have to Google
I'm
the
like
actual
leaving
quote.
out like half the quote.
I believe so. I think it's all things being equal.
Great. You know, I'm batting 1,000 over here. Like, what do you want from me? My brain's fried. Okay.
Same.
Will is yeah. Will is saying you have to deduce from possible to probable.
I don't even see how this stream is still going. Like, I'm glad it is, but the screen is still just completely frozen. It says not responding. So I'm surprised you guys can hear me.
I think
That's all that
another
malware.
thing.
Yeah.
I told Synthia that we need to write down a to-do list because we have a to-do list. Like, we talk about the to-do list, but it needs to be written down and we need to actually do it. But somebody just said something and that made me think of that.
You know, this is kind of random, but someone had posted in the Montello group saying that there was a person saying that Dylan's truck was seen out there on the 28th. And someone in the comments responded to it, and the way it seemed was like they were saying that they had seen his truck, but then they deleted their comments and people were responding to it. So, like, you know how you can see like kind of the gist of what the person had said in response to what they did say? And then I heard that person is supposedly not a reliable source, but apparently the people saying that they're not a reliable source, in my opinion, might have a reason to be saying that. I hate having to be so vague. I really do.
I know. It's annoying. It really is. You want to say so much. You are loved. Where was JB's address? I can't read it now. It went past. But yes, him getting SSI, it's possible that he was having it sent somewhere else, and was picking it up. What I was just thinking about is just the vehicles. It's like pertinent that we know like what vehicle was used. Um, his body had to be transported some way. Was it on a 4-wheeler? Was it in the bed of a truck? Who has a vehicle? Brenner's is overheating and not working correctly, allegedly. Aviles has a vehicle. Chase has a 4-wheeler. Kurt has a motorcycle. So
apparently Chase was also seen driving a white Chevy Blazer type SUV, and Ty Corbin wanted very badly to know if that was the abandoned car that was found in Park Valley, Utah, and nobody's been able to confirm or deny whether that was the vehicle found there.
Interesting.
And that's also assuming that Dylan was transported dead.
Well, that's confusing though, because I thought that Sammy said that they were using like a Robert Aviles' mom's car, and I guess it was like a. Did she say
it's a black? It's a black Subaru WRX.
Oh, okay. So kind of like a crossover, I guess.
Carmick,
No.
what's? Hold on a second, you guys. Carmick, what is going on? You can't. I just can't. What do you mean? Do you want to come up, Carmick? Do you have a lot? It's bursting out of you. You have things to say, and you're annoyed at what's being said and not being said, I think. So anyway, okay, sorry you guys, but go ahead.
Black Dove was just saying that it's a WRX. So is that like a small car, kind of like a Honda, like one of those type of cars?
It's a small all-wheel drive sedan, a compact basically, with a small trunk. Okay. And that's also the same car that Chase Venstra was ducking down and hiding in at the gas station with Robert Aviles. I think it was prior to all of this. Might have been after.
And that was Chase's and not Robert's?
No, it's Robert's.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And then where did this information come from?
The car's been photographed.
Came from for me.
Well, yeah, I know where it came from you. I'm asking Black Dove where the information.
This came from Ty Corbin, because Ty Corbin is actually, he claims he's the one who drove Robert Aviles in his car to the Lucin area where Robert Aviles then surrendered to police.
Okay. So did Ty Corbin see them in Robert Aviles' mom's car?
I don't believe he saw them physically. I think this is relayed via Robert Aviles' mother.
Oh, okay. Well, that kind of confirms it then. Yeah. I wonder if all of the other properties have been searched. His family's properties. Robert's?
There's multiple people and multiple properties, and
like
that is a problem as well. It really does.
Well, beyond even Ann Iverson's. I mean,
thank you, Kathleen. Gas station.
You mean Annie
lady.
Fredericks? The woman whose property that Chase was squatting on or staying at was Annie Fredericks, I believe.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just talking about Robert's family's properties that are out there. But I guess if he wasn't staying with any family, then it wouldn't be searched, right? That doesn't make any sense.
Not necessarily. I don't think that many properties have been searched to my knowledge, but Chase was allegedly staying with that Annie Fredericks woman who's the one that she went by Avila Doom, and she lives in Pilot. She called in to a show yesterday, and she elaborated all about Annie Fredericks and the relationships with Chase Venstra and how crazy he can be, all that stuff. And it was also said by Ty Corbin that Chase was staying out at Annie Fredericks' place or somewhere near there, and he hiked to the road carrying heavy backpacks on, I don't remember the day. I don't know the day off the top of my head. And then Robert Aviles picked him up in the black Subaru.
Okay.
I just always wonder what the two of their motives would be. Would it be money? Because Dylan carried
That's what I
cars.
often wonder.
He carried cash. What would Chase and Robert's motives be?
Because nothing was taken.
Yeah, everything's accounted for.
And then on top of that, like, what's their connection to Jim? I mean, I know that there's like the ex that they both dated, but from what we've heard, they didn't get along. So it's like, why would they just suddenly work together?
If there was a payday net for all of them.
I always go to the why. Why?
If somebody set them up, like Kurt said, so well that they didn't know they were being set up.
Well, he specifically said that about James Brenner.
Well, he also said that Chase is a scapegoat too, though.
Did he say that?
He did.
Okay. I will.
But then later in the conversation or at another time, he said that he thought it was Chase. So there's a lot of conflicting things being said, which seems odd to me.
I mean, either Kurt really just doesn't know, or I don't know. Because why so convinced that he was set up? And he was asked. I asked him more than once. And I was never given an answer. And it just, I don't know. I was told that he's not going to be talking anymore. The FBI has asked him to stop.
Okay, I heard that as a rumor too. Why would the FBI tell some random guy to STFU like that? Is that even a thing that they do, or is that just like he thinks he said something bad and now he wants to shut up?
They can, and it makes sense to me why they would say that to him. I'll just leave that there, but it makes perfect sense why they would say that, or they could say that. But yeah, I'm wondering why that would be. Would it be because you're saying too much and we're investigating, it's an open investigation, or because if you're looking at someone as a suspect, you want them to talk as much as possible. Like, just whatever they're saying, just let them talk. So I was told that by a very close source to Kurt. And yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's true or not. I can't verify that. I mean, even if I called the agent, he's not going to tell me that. So that is what is being said. Which I don't know how to take that.
I think that the FBI really did say that, or that maybe where you heard it from, that's kind of just like being used as an excuse because people are kind of picking apart everything that he's saying. That might be.
I mean, yeah, anybody that talks, it's going to be talked about because we're talking about the case. So of course it's going to be talked about. But I'm not sitting here saying Kurt did it. You know, we're talking about what he said. He's definitely a person in this case. He was closest to Dylan out in that area. So yeah, you know, you're going to talk about stuff like that.
And if I'm being like completely honest, I've listened to most of the Salty interviews, and I've listened to Sammy's interview on Zap Girl. There's a lot of discrepancies. I'm just gonna say that. Like, it doesn't. What they're both saying doesn't always add up. It's not the same story.
True.
There are discrepancies. Yes.
I made a list of those, in fact.
Wow. That would be an interesting list for you to read right now, Dove.
Okay, let me pull it up.
Cool.
Does one of them include like Kurt saying that he was in his bar for 5 or 6 days and that everyone can verify that, but then Sammy said that they were up the Copper Mountains or the Copper Mine?
No, I didn't catch that one.
There was that one. That was one of the biggest ones that stood out to me because I was like, well, how can you be in your bar at the same time as being up at the mountains?
Well, I mean, some of the biggest discrepancies for me, like the ones that really stick out, are about the timeline for the psychic tip-off. Okay?
Yes.
Because law enforcement went out to Robert Aviles' house, according to the official timeline, on May 31st, based on a tip-off from Kurt. And then Kurt says that it must have been 8 or 9 days into the ordeal that he actually told the parents that, you know, some psychic told him that he was being held by a man and a woman. So that doesn't jive at all.
No, Box Elder County, even in one of their like releases on their Facebook page, said it was the 31st.
Yeah.
So I completely agree with that. I caught that one as well.
That's a big one. Also, the whole thing about multiple times Candice has said, like, well, she said in an interview on the Heavy D video, she was talking and she said that the gun was found. And then the husband, Mike, said that the key fob was found. And then Kurt elaborated on the key fob being found by Dawn on the table inside of Dylan's trailer. And now the official press release doesn't disclose whether or not the key fob was found. And people are saying, no, it wasn't found. That's why they broke the window out. And they brought another key fob from Idaho so that they could drive the truck back to Idaho after they broke the window out. Kurt also placed himself at the scene of breaking the window out, saying that he was there, and he said it was such a stupid thing to do, he couldn't believe it, he walked away. So that means he was there when the family arrived, basically, because that's when they broke the window out.
Yeah.
So the gun has been found and then not found. The gun was supposedly found 1 or 2 days after the initial search of the trailer in some laundry. So those are other big things that stick out. Mostly because...
Synthia, can you highlight Graham's comment, please?
I can't. I'm still frozen. Like, I'm going to take a picture and send it to you. Like,
just hit chat and it'll show up.
Oh, I can't even do anything. It's just like a loading symbol where my mouse is.
Okay, so Graham, I saw your comment and you said to take what Sammy and Kurt say with a grain of salt. But I'm going to counter you with this, that you should not, because these are firsthand accounts from Kurt mainly, and then Sammy, but of people that were surrounding Dylan, and not just surrounding him, were very close to him in that area. So you would definitely want to hear from those people. They will know the most about his habits, who he knew, things like that. So definitely don't take what they say with a grain of salt. Now, if you're calling them liars, fine. You're welcome to say what you want about that. But it's just, that's a firsthand account and it's important to hear. So, okay. That's my rant over.
Black Dove, did you listen to Salty's, all of Salty's interviews with Kurt?
Yeah, I believe I've listened to all of them.
So I don't remember exactly, but I feel like I remember the day that Kurt said he was notified. Do you recall when he said he was notified about Dylan?
The precise date? No,
Yes,
I do
farming.
not.
Okay.
But what I do find interesting about the date of notification and all that other stuff is that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Candice called the cops and reported Dylan missing en route to Dylan's farm before they even arrived.
Mm-hmm.
And search and rescue was there by 4 to 5 p.m. the same day. But I do not remember the day that Kurt said that he realized Dylan was missing. He did say that on Friday, I believe it was Friday, that Dylan came into town and he was going to go fix, I guess, this Dan Iverson's person, whoever he is. He was going to go fix his pivot and bring him a part, a U-joint specifically for the pivot. And that Dan was like, yeah, you don't have to actually fix it. I got a handyman to do that. So then Dylan goes back into town, sees Kurt, tells him he's going to take off to his farm and be planting for 20 hours straight. I do remember that part. And Kurt was like, okay, well, if you need a ride from your farm to the grain shed, or from the grain shed back to the farm, or something along those lines, give me a call. And then Dylan never called. So Kurt assumes that Dylan got a ride on Friday night, Saturday morning. Then the other discrepancy that comes into play is the time frame of when people started to think that Dylan was missing, because Dylan calls grandma at 6:51 in the morning and tells her that he can't talk. He's got to move his truck to the grain shed because it's going to get wet because it's going to start raining. And then Candice says from Saturday night, people were looking for Dylan. And Sammy also said to me that from Saturday night, people were looking for Dylan, namely Dawn.
Yeah.
And that doesn't jive with the official timeline when Grandma calls Dawn on Sunday and says, where's Dylan? Have you heard from him? And then Dawn reportedly says, well, we checked the truck and it's locked. We can't find his guns. That kind of stood out to me. They went in his trailer and looked. He's not there. But they called Grandma back and say, well, I'm sure he's fine. And then the next day, somehow JD catches wind of this, I guess, from Grandma. And then JD calls Candice and says, hey, did you know that Grandma's looking for Dylan? He can't be found. And that's the first that Candice hears about all this.
How could Dylan have been planting all night long and there's still seed in the grain truck?
Well, okay, so, and here's a big misconception that a lot of people have about this grain truck. People think that the grain truck is a thing that drives around on the farm and plants seeds. It's not. The grain truck is a reservoir of seed that is used to fill Dylan's tractor, which has the actual seeder attached to the back of it. And he could get multiple refills out of that grain truck to his seeder from that big ass truck. Like, it's a huge truck that carries a bunch of grain. So he would have had to refill his seeder on his tractor multiple times from that grain truck, which I guess he went to Idaho to buy the grain, brings the seed back, and then he's going to be filling his seeder and actually planting the pivot farm, which he didn't finish. If you look at the satellite imagery, it was only about 2/3 of the way planted, from what I can tell. So that's how that truck actually works. It's not a thing that actually plants seeds. It's just a truck that holds grain.
Okay. That makes more sense. Yeah. I think Don was out there on Saturday and on Sunday, but Sunday is when he brought Jim with him.
Yep.
Yes, the potato truck equals the grain truck.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Go ahead.
I just don't understand why there was no sense of urgency on Don's part. Like, you'd think that if he noticed that Dylan wasn't there on Saturday night and then also on Sunday, like, why wait to report back on the 30th, was it?
Because Jim was with Dawn.
Yeah.
And there's a big time discrepancy that Kurt brought up with that too. Jim apparently told Kurt that he was at Dawn's place barbecuing from 1 to 5 p.m. However, Kurt then talked to Dawn and asked him, when was James Brenner actually at your place? And Dawn said, nah, that's BS. He was actually here from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. So there's a 2-hour discrepancy between what James Brenner says and what Dawn says, according to Kurt.
Weird.
I did hear the 3 to 9 thing. He said that to me as well.
I do recall him saying that, but he didn't elaborate. He didn't say it had anything to do with Dawn. He just said that Jim wasn't there, or that Jim said he wasn't there.
Well, he said that he tried to get James Brenner to show him his phone, and he wouldn't. This is what Kurt said in one of those salty interviews. And he also said that he talked directly to Dawn, and Dawn told him this, that he was not there from 1 to 5 p.m. He was there from 3 to 9. And Dawn called him a liar. James Brenner, that is.
Well, we'll vet him, Karmic. We're gonna vet Will. Don't worry. Okay.
What?
I'm reading chat. That's my role tonight. I'm talking and I'm keeping up with chat. So
yeah,
Will's
I feel
legit.
like Don's suspicious for sure.
Same. Even more suspicious since there's 2 Don H's out there running around.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, how many people have the same name?
Well, it's not his last name's not Hatley, but his last name starts with an H. But yeah, apparently there's 2 Don H's out there.
Okay, if you guys could calm down the chat. Well,
I can't even read chat. I'm just like sitting here looking at
I'm gonna handle chat. I'm gonna be the live mod.
Did you get the picture I sent you of the screen?
No. No.
So frustrating.
So chat's saying that Salty is supposedly gonna do an interview with Kurt or something tomorrow. That he's talking about that. So if that's true and if that happens, that FBI thing goes out the window. But and not that he has to listen. Like, he's not being charged with anything. They could tell you to stop talking. If you watched Abducted in Plain Sight, you would know that you don't have to listen to their recommendations. So Karma is saying Salty claims there would be more. Oh, no more interviews. Okay. Oh, my lands.
I really can't figure Salty out, you know.
Synthia, I love your bluntness tonight. You're just
my what?
Your bluntness.
Oh. Yeah. I just really can't, because I feel like he sounds like he's pro Kurt, but it just seems like some of the questions that he asks are, you know, maybe he's just trying to get Kurt to talk more.
Yeah, I don't know, because when I read the title "Mask Off," I was like,
we talked about that. Yeah, I was like, mask off.
Huh. Interesting wording there, Mike. Just saying. He has a live planned for the 30th, is saying Kathleen Hutchinson.
He's going out to Montello.
I don't know. He deleted certain posts, then reposted the video. What? Okay. Yeah. He does that. I don't know why Mike does that so much, but he does do that. I do know why he took the last interviews down. I don't know if they're back up or not, but I do know why. He was told to take them down. So
The recent ones, he took those down?
yeah. Are they back up?
I didn't even know that.
His motivations really are not clear, especially given some of the comments that he made in the Heavy D videos, like long before he became a YouTube phenomenon or whatever. I don't know if you parsed through those or some of the comments he's made, but he has said things along the lines that he thinks that this is a psyop and that Dylan Rounds doesn't exist, that it's all Hollywood smoke and mirrors. And he also has made incredible statements, really, in chats that I've seen and screenshotted, where he literally says that Ty Corbin is involved directly in the disappearance of Dylan Rounds, and also that he is cooperating with the feds in order to throw his co-conspirators under the bus. So, yeah.
Well, I can almost bet you.
I'll submit this to you, both of you. That I think because there were some other things about Mike, and I've asked Mike about them. He would write things, and then he writes numbers. Just I don't know what these numbers mean, but he does
you
that.
Mean the threes?
Yes, he loves his threes.
Gematria and numerology.
Okay, because I seen Oracle and stuff on his Facebook, so I have asked him about it. But he it's like when he first met Kurt, he seemed like he really believed Kurt and really liked Kurt. And then with the videos, there was something in his voice that just didn't sound right to me. Like and I could be totally wrong, and he could text me right now and say, Jess, whatever you're saying is so wrong. But I just felt there was something in his voice that was questioning something.
Yeah, I got that too.
Okay. I'm glad I'm not the only one.
This whole Ty Corbin thing, though, I wonder if you got that idea from the same source that was saying that to you, Jess.
Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
So the whole Ty Corbin thing, I wonder if Salty's getting that idea from the same source that said that to you.
Probably.
But again,
I'm gonna
what's
put
the motivation?
like a $100 bingo card on that.
What's the motivation though? Behind like sending people down all these other paths? That worries me.
Controlling a narrative.
Yeah, I was going to say acting like a handler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ty Corbin's not the only person that's come up from this source. It's been like several.
Yeah. Yep.
You mean like a free agent handler that has no ascertainable motive from a 3-letter agency type deal?
No. No.
Well, because that's what I got.
No. Nope. I mean, that was said, but no. I mean, controlling the narrative of what's being said. And you see this in case after case where there'll be this one person that will control the narrative. They want it that way for a reason. And I have to stop here. I cannot go further with this.
I'll just say I have suspicions about the reason why this person's doing that.
About what?
Suspicions about why that person is sending people down all of these rabbit holes. But I know you're not going to say anything on that, Jess.
Yeah, I have my thoughts. I just, it'll be interesting, I think, to see if Salty does do an interview with Kurt again. And what's said. So, what do you think, Black?
Oh,
will you be tuning in?
Of course, I tune into everything everywhere all the time as much as I can.
I see that. I see that.
And what's kind of weird, honestly, is that I don't follow true crime. I'm not a true crime buff or anything like that. I don't know anything about any other cases. Like the last thing I've ever got interested in regarding crime was the Las Vegas shooting, because like this, none of it made sense. And I've said this before on other streams, but the entire reason that I call into these shows and even know what this is because I randomly clicked on a Reddit post that had to do with the disappearance of Dylan Rounds. I'm like, that's weird. That's weird. That's really weird. Then I put it in YouTube, and I see all this crazy stuff going on all these channels I've never heard of before. And there's all these people talking about true crime and this and that. And I literally thought that true crime was some kind of thing on Netflix. I'm not even joking. I'm not kidding.
Welcome. Enjoy your stay.
There was that like Geico commercial or whatever, and the woman says a little true crime would be nice. So I thought it was like something on Netflix. I'm like, what the hell is this? And then I started finding out more about the whole thing that is supposedly going on, and I found out about Dylan, and I found out that I have a lot in common with him actually. And it, the other day, after all the YouTube drama that has been going on, I was like, okay, fuck this. I'm going to walk away and disappear. And then I decided not to for a couple of reasons. One of them was that people were posting Dylan's full name in the chat, and he and I share 2 initials, and we have the same middle name. And then the other day, when I was really about ready to just walk away from everything, his mom does that interview, and she says the thing about sunflowers. And I was just like, you got to be kidding me. Like, you really got to be kidding me. And that's when I was like, okay, whatever. Because that's my favorite flower too. And so I decided to stick around, I guess, because I don't know, something drew me into this. I can't explain it. People asked me to come up on panel and stuff, and I'm like, okay. I really only called in to Tyler Feller's show initially because everybody was talking about Chase Venstra being all bloody in the desert, and nobody could explain why he was bloody in the desert or had been missing for 3 days. I'm like, that seems pretty damn important to me. Why can't that question be answered? Where was he? Who beat him up or cut him up or whatever happened to him? What's his deal? And so I called in, and then people were like, call back, because I started talking about like the spy planes, which they're now flying apparently to look for Dylan, and all the other technology they could bring to bear. So yeah, something just sucked me into it, and I can't get away from it apparently.
Well, I think you're officially in the true crime community now. So just again, enjoy your stay. There'll be another case. This one grabbed you. There'll be another. Just wait for it.
It's kind of shocking to hear how, going back to your commonalities with Dylan, it's kind of shocking to hear that because I feel like we've all been drawn to Dylan's case for a reason. Jess, it was her birthday that Dylan went missing. And then for me, and I just recently found this out, but I felt like really drawn to Dylan's case, just like you're saying that you did. But he shares a birthday with my son.
Wow.
And I just recently found this out when his family was asking people to plant sunflowers in his honor. I have my sunflowers here in the background, and they will be staying there until Dylan's found. But it's kind of odd how all of us have been attracted to his case for various reasons, but like we just have personal reasons, you know what I mean, that have come to light where it's like we didn't know at the time when we became so kind of like.
Yeah, like I remember like saving Chase. Like I've been talking about Chase Venstra like since I first started talking about Dylan's case. And I remember like saving his Facebook message and like all of that because, you know, it was like a hunt for this Chase Venstra guy. And then things just went in all kinds of directions. And it's weird. Like I feel like I know these places and I've never been there. And I haven't really seen a lot of pictures, but I don't know. But yeah, I get what you're saying. It does. It draws people in just for different reasons, like completely personal reasons and they're all different, you know, but we're all here and it matters. And we're sitting here with our time just going over this and talking about this and theorizing about it and discussing different things that have been said and you know, that's kind of what you do on YouTube in the true crime community. You know, you don't necessarily make accusations against people that there's nothing official on, but there's certainly nothing wrong with talking and theorizing about what has been said. Some things, not all things, obviously, but some things.
Yeah, it's just like a really convoluted situation, and at the end of it, I just hope that Dylan is found
alive.
Yeah, and you know, like I'd say like maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks in, you know, me and someone else were talking heavily about him being alive and what that would entail. You know, there would have to be someone obviously keeping him alive. Who would that person be? That's where understanding the relationships he had with people out there comes in. And you know, the buildings and the different campers and motorhomes and things that people have of where they would put a person. You know, we talked about stuff like that a lot.
We even talked about it
So,
today, like the idea that, you know, where he would be if he were alive. And that's something that obviously we won't share, but about like who our theories lead to. But I mean, I suppose there is a possibility that he could be alive.
If not, wouldn't you think they'd just come out and say he's probably dead and just like, you know, give us prayers and condolences for the family?
Yeah, I would like to
I
think.
mean, the FBI, they always seem to move at a snail's pace, but it's just like we always talk about, or I always talk about, whatever, that the FBI like works backwards. They just really do. Um, like they're not big on like press conferences and things like that. You might get a couple, but they like keep things close to the vest. They form the case and then boom, you know, once it happens, it's done. So I really don't think that they're in any rush to tell anyone really anything at this point. If there's more pressure, they might. And I do think that around his birthday, I would like to see some sort of just update from them. They're really vague usually in their statements, but you have to kind of like read between the lines of what they're saying, um, and it like analyze it basically.
Yep.
So yeah, like it sounds real basic, but when you like go through the individual like words that they use, um, it paints some picture for you. So. Graham, no worries. You're fine. You're fine. I didn't think that at all. Will is saying, my opinion is it's moving very quickly. The aftermath is going to be brutal. The town will never be the same. I think the town has changed already with this in a major way. There's been a lot that's been taking place there. So, and that's going to continue to happen. I mean, you have like the FBI that's been out there for like a month or more. The forensic team, when was I talking about that, Synthia? That was weeks ago. Mm-hmm. So when I see Candice say in that interview, you know, we're waiting for stuff to come back. And then there's stuff that still needs to be processed. They have evidence of something.
Yeah.
She did talk about the soil being like part of, you know, the analysis sort of. Go ahead, Black Dove. Sorry.
I was just going to say soil samples and processing stuff is what she said in the interview. Yeah. And she said that certain things have already been processed and they have some answers. And in that interview, what I noticed most of all was that Candice had a totally different demeanor than she did before. And that's where the time crunch thing that I hypothesized comes into play, because she seemed totally in control, like everything was fine. You know, she was worried, but she wasn't withdrawn and shaky the way that she was in the last interview. And she was very shaky, very, very not in control in that interview, even though it was probably very scripted and edited. I mean, she looked like a totally different person in that interview to me, which says to me,
I think we hold completely opposite views, because I saw a person that was very much in control and was doing her utmost not to break down. She had a moment, she pulled it together, and she continued on. And there's things that Candice says that I always like, which she always talks about facts and evidence. She always does that, and I appreciate that she does that. But I don't know. Like I what I noticed from that interview too is I don't know that Candice is completely sold on Chase Venstra. Like there's
she
just
didn't
something
seem like it. And she said that from the very beginning, that the family kind of like don't personally feel that he's involved, but
yes. And when I just her body language, you know, when they, like I said earlier, like way earlier, you know, when they said when they talked about James Brenner, she's shaking her head yes. When Nate Eaton says, well, you know, what do you think they know? She doesn't answer the question, but she starts shaking her head no and immediately starts talking about Chase. So I just don't think that like she herself is completely sold. But then at the end of the interview, she says, you know, one of these two men like need to talk. So it was a little confusing for me, because what she was saying and then what it ended with didn't sound like I feel like she's conflicted with him. I don't feel like she's conflicted with Brenner. I feel like she definitely believes that Brenner was involved, as do I. But I don't feel like she's sold on Chase. So that's just my opinion. But
even in her interview in front of the courthouse, I believe the reporter asked her if she felt that Jim had something to do with it, and she was adamant that she did feel that he was responsible or partially responsible for Dylan's disappearance.
She did say that, but go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say she did say the thing about James Brenner, but she also elaborated and she said that she didn't think there was any way that James Brenner could do this by himself. She said maybe hurting Dylan, but not the rest of it. And
I
then
agree. Yeah,
and
Jess
then
go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say she was asked about Chase Venstra and his relationship to the whole thing. And she basically said, well, I don't see how he couldn't be involved given what's going on, meaning the charges against him, being held the way he is, not being extradited, etc.
Yeah. Now I remember that part after you just said that. That's true.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's really questioning the Brenner. But Chase, it's more, what did you exactly know or do know or something? Because I too have a little bit of trouble with what Chase's motive would be. If it was money, he didn't get it. But I don't, what would another motive be? That would be the only connection I could see to that. Because James Brenner and Chase Venstra dated the same woman. So I don't believe that they were like the bestest of friends. And then James Brenner's little shack got blown up. That's why he was squatting in the trailer. So, and nobody was like caught for that, but everybody, obviously thinks that it was probably Chase. So it would be weird for them to work together in this.
There are so many more other people that are way closer to James Brenner. So it's just like, why Chase?
Right.
I mean, maybe eventually we find out all of the
Kathleen,
details.
I want to remind you, sorry, Synthia. Go ahead.
I was just saying, maybe eventually we find out all of the details and everything solved, and maybe it does end up being Chase. But at this point, it just seems like a weird pair.
Yeah. So Kathleen saying Chase helped for money from Brenner? ? Well, again, please remember that a source that I talked to in Lucin told me that they called him the dirt farmer and to stay away from him, that she didn't know who he was. She just knew him as the dirt farmer. And then she found out it was James Brenner. And the definition of a dirt farmer is a person that is very poor, basically. Doesn't have any employees, farms of poor land, a poor man. It's like an insult, basically. So, if for money, I don't know that James Brenner had a lot of money, is what I'm saying, to offer to Chase.
Black Dove, have you found any connections that we haven't heard of between Jim and Chase that might make them closer, I guess?
Not overt ones, but there's an implied one, sort of from Kurt, that there's a mastermind behind all of this that set up people so well that they didn't know that they were being set up. And that could bring James Brenner and Chase Venstra into the mix together if they were set up themselves to do something or be a part of something that they didn't know what the grander plan was. That's a bit conspiratorial, but it could explain some of the different, connections between James Brenner being involved and Chase Venstra being involved. Also, the boots at James Brenner's doorstep, basically. Ty Corbin says that, if somebody were to mastermind something along these lines and leave evidence to link James Brenner to something that he was a part of and wanted to distract from, the only person who hates Chase Venstra enough to plant evidence to make it look like it was him would be Kurt.
That we know of.
That we know
of. And I say that because of Dan Iverson. Karmic, I love you, but please, if it's not exactly about this case, because we are having a serious discussion about this case, we don't need to know that, guys. We just don't. If Salty and Ty Corbin want to fight it out in court for some reason unrelated to this case, fine. But we're talking about this case right now. So. Okay. I'll see you later, Carmick. Have a good night.
Hey, Jess, I'm thinking about ending the live soon.
Okay. Okay.
What time is it over there? 4:00, right?
4:25 to be exact.
We know you can hang.
Yes, I can.
Hey, I actually made it way later this time, though, than normal, right?
Yes, you did. I'm like proud of you. So
I know.
we definitely did the late night crew thing. Dove, what time is it where you're at? Or you don't have to say it, but
It's 4:25 a.m. for me. I'm in Florida.
Oh, goodness.
okay.
He's a part of the late night crew too.
Yeah, he's big time late night vibes. So Ms. Nikki with the Ed Harshberger. Yes, these are names. These are names. Salty's exit, Salty enters.
Hey,
Yeah.
that just stood out. I can see, like, even though my screen's like still frozen, I can see the chat moving in the background. So that's really odd. But Nikki spelled Ed's last name correctly, and that's kind of shocking to me. Does Nikki know? Is she like,
she's been making a lot of comments.
Are they from there though? Because I remember, like, was it you and I that were talking about the spelling of his last name? It's unique, basically. It's not how you would think it would be.
It's not a normal. You would expect an E, and there's an A.
Exactly.
Yes. So, yeah, she's definitely been. That's why I've been trying to like watch chat, like as you guys are talking, and then I'm like answering chat, and Dove's like, "What? Like, what are you talking?" So I've been watching what you guys have been saying, but I just didn't want to interrupt the conversation too much. So, but Ms. Nikki, we are curious. Are you from the area or? Yes. I'm. Kurt did say that him and Chase were friends. They were friends up until Chase like started stealing from him. Then they were not friends. But are you from the area? Because I've been watching your comments throughout this. Waiting on an answer. I hate waiting on answers.
It looks like
yeah, it's like, yeah, it's so much better to have people up. Just,
you know what's funny about being from the area and stuff? When I asked a couple of questions in one of Salty's live streams, Kurt's like, "Oh, that Black Dove guy, huh? That fucker's gotta be from Montello. Is he from Montello?"
Will is saying, I bet the whole dynamic of the town shifted after this went down. It absolutely did. Or more so, Will, I'll say this. I think it just in my view, it seems to have elevated people's personal gripes with one another. You've heard a lot of that. And in the mix of some of those things, there's been information. But hey, Jess, what are you going to plan on August 1st? A sunflower. I'm going the sunflower route. I'm hoping that I do it correctly. I do have a little bit of a green thumb, so I have some faith in myself. I'm going with a sunflower. Synthia, what are you planning? Well, you have your sunflowers behind you.
Yeah, I got my sunflower, my black-eyed Susans. But I don't have a great green thumb, so I'm going to be struggling to keep this plant alive. Everything comes to my house to die when it comes to plants. Like, that's any plant I've ever gotten, they die. And
well,
it's
you have to water it every day.
I do.
I know you think about this case enough to remember.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's because of the heat in my house or what, but because I like it warm. So maybe it's just like too rough of an environment for plants.
I like it
Too
cold
hot.
as hell.
I
Dove,
love
what
it.
are you planning?
Well, I mean, I guess I could do sunflowers. I used to do bonsai trees, so I know my horticulture a little bit. Um, I usually keep sunflowers, like fresh ones, cut on the table in my house anyway, so that's not something new.
That's cool.
But yeah, I don't know. I had some ideas, like for something else made of ceramic, but
Huh.
yeah, I mean, it would be a nice gift if he's still alive, if he comes back. I'm still holding out for that hope.
It? Are you gonna paint it?
Huh?
I said, are you going to paint it? Do you paint?
I do. I'm a crafty, artsy fartsy kind of person sometimes. Haven't done that in a long time, but I could do something along those lines. I was thinking like a ceramic sunflower with a little plaque that says Dylan on it. Hopefully, if he's alive, you know. But I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's awesome. I like that idea. People have so many good ideas. Kathleen Hutchison is planting an avocado tree. Will's doing some kind of tree. He's waiting to find out what kind. Yeah, so I think everyone has ideas of what they're going to do. And that should just show you how important this case is, that just people from everywhere, like we're all scattered across this country and other countries, and people want to do this. And it's not like, I don't know, like it's some grand show, but it's just, you feel so connected to the case and to what happened to Dylan that you just want to do things like that. I don't know. There's such a emotional element to this case, and I think it's his age for me, because it just greatly bothers me that this 19-year-old, his life has, in my opinion, been cut short, way, way, way short, and it's just so unfair, and it bothers me.
Yeah, it's also for me that he just had so many talents and he was going for the things that he wanted in life. And I feel like these days that's not as common. I feel like a lot of people don't really try as hard as they could to accomplish great things. So it's like someone that from day one has worked so hard for this goal, and then to have it taken from them, potentially taken from them if he's no longer alive, and also potentially over greed. It's terrible.
Yeah. Dove, you
Well,
want
also,
to chime in?
yeah, I was gonna say, you know, it would be so simple too, all of this, if there had just been one person there with whatever had happened, you know, with a gun, who could have either, you know, like pistol whipped whoever tried to do something to him pretty quick, or double tapped him to the chest and then to the head, you know, and just like fixed all this and got rid of whatever scumbag tried to get rid of Dylan. It would have been such a simple affair if there had just been one person there with the balls to do something about it, or had known something was going to happen. And it's like those little things that happen in life where one wrong move or whatever. And it just seems like this case, it keeps unfolding bigger and bigger and bigger, and more people get thrown into the mix. The whole town is thrown into the mix. There's all these people that are miserable now, and it sucks for them. And I do feel empathy for the family, for all the people involved, like the whole town. But it's like, if one little thing had been different, you know?
Yeah, that's what bothers me about the Candice interview. The latest one is she was like, it was perfect. It was like perfect for him. You know, COVID hit and school was canceled and he found this land and it was just perfect. And I just thought, like, I know she wasn't saying it in that context, but it's sad because it's like the perfect storm. Like
Yeah.
all of these events took place to lead him to that one moment where like things just could have been so different, so many different ways. Yeah, that bothers me. I was talking about that earlier. So,
but I do still get this feeling like, it sounds woo-woo bullshit to say this, but like that
woo-woo.
Dylan is sort of saying, keep looking and find me, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like we definitely have not stopped talking about this case, have not stopped thinking about this case constantly. So I don't think that his case is going anywhere. I think people are very fully invested, and that's a good thing. Because they're going to keep digging. And, people dismiss other people's comments and things like about the biker gang. That's fine. But there's nothing wrong with just looking into stuff. I'm not a big conspiracy theorist person, but I don't mind like looking into things just to see what it's about. So I just want to say that. But
Yeah, the biker gang thing has never really was not something that I thought of before, but it's something that we could look into. Jess, you're good at making contact. Let me find some bikers in the area.
I already have one. He's about to call into the show any minute. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But I think that would be probably a difficult group to speak to
That's true.
because that kind of goes against the grain of who they are and what they're about. They're not trying to be like all out in public, like on live streams and stuff. So it would, I don't know. I think that would be really hard interviews to get. Just given the nature of like
nobody realized that you were going to get that Kurt interview. So stranger things have happened.
If only they knew about the other ones,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Black Dove, did you ever get to watch Jess's last interview with Kurt before it was taken down?
Yeah, I don't think I caught the first part, but I caught most of it.
Jess, why don't you send him the link?
To what?
To your last interview with Kurt.
The drunken live stream?
The one that you apologized for?
I don't think he cares that you were drinking, but it's the content of the things that were said that I feel are important.
I caught some of them.
A lot of stuff said.
I don't really think you needed to apologize for that either, by the way.
Well, thanks. I mean, I still feel not the best about that, but
I guarantee you I'm way more wasted than you were right now.
I'm drinking water. So yeah. I don't know. I might send you the link through email. You can watch it if you want. But
well, you got my email.
If you caught most of it, then you did.
Have you watched it, James? Have you watched your own?
You know what? No.
You need to. There was some stuff.
I did not like it. I didn't. I felt really not good about that.
You just
like I've had other interviews with Kurt that just are, you know that. So, but yeah. So I mean, I guess stop. Like now, I feel like I don't know what to do with my hands. Like that's how I feel right now.
There were some important.
Everybody has to have an embarrassing moment, or I'm gonna chalk it up to that, or something. I don't know.
Maybe we'll do that tomorrow. Like we'll get on the phone and we'll watch it together.
Oh my god, I don't want to watch it. I'm like embarrassed.
You're gonna be like, "Dang girl, that was said."
Like not for you said. That was funny. Kurt and Jess was on the same page that night. We were definitely tuned all the way in. So embarrassing for me.
You were living your best life.
Yeah, just carrying right on. Two drunks. Yeah, we were literally both of us like on the opposite side of the country. Like I guess same level drunk. I don't know how much he drank. I never saw him. I just talked to him on the phone. But we
It
definitely
was the
seem to be on the
weekend.
same level of
You were
drunk.
letting your hair down. There's nothing wrong with that.
I know. I've seen some people like it wasn't that bad, and other people are like, you should be ashamed of yourself. And I'm like, shit. Okay.
No, it
I'm
wasn't that
sorry.
bad.
But the info was great. All right, well, cool. As long as the info was great, that's all I care about. What did Kathleen say? Is Kathleen clowning me? Get some sparkly gloves? Oh my gosh. No comment.
I'll get some sparkly gloves and go do karaoke at the Saddle Sore.
Black Dove.
Yep.
If you had a wife or a husband, I don't know which, like whatever. But if you had, well, no, we have to go with wife here. So, like hypothetically, right? If you had a wife, and you got cold, would you
I got
put
what?
on? And you got cold.
Oh.
Like you got cold. Would you put on like your own pants, your own long johns potentially, or her pantyhose?
Pantyhose seem really uncomfortable. I mean, I've got some flannel pajamas and stuff that I could wear.
Do you think the pantyhose would keep you warm, or you have no idea?
I have no idea. I've never worn pantyhose. They seem uncomfortable and unnecessary.
They're not at all. They're not uncomfortable. And actually, I like how they make my legs feel. So I'll just tell you that.
Jess.
And maybe other people do too. I don't know. You never know. I don't know.
I think you're making him feel awkward without any context. I know what you're talking about, but maybe at some point,
I mean, like,
talk with Black Dove about it.
I've never worn pantyhose, but I have worn girls' clothing before, and I do wear I used to wear makeup, and I mean, if Kurt does do drag or whatever he did, I could probably definitely give him a run for his money. Like even when it's kind of funny. I'm not kidding either.
Are you serious right now? Do I need to set up?
I'm 1,000,000,000% serious. You have no idea how many times I've been called ma'am. And I'll tell you this, okay? So I'm out walking, right, for exercise. And I'm with a woman.
This is hilarious.
I won't say who. Okay. And I'm just walking. And I think I was wearing a tank top and like exercise shorts and tennis shoes. I think I was actually wearing a baseball hat too. So I'm out walking wearing a tank top and exercise shorts, and a guy is like jogging by or something. He's like, "Oh, hello, ladies." And I'm pushing 40 too, right? So and I'm like, okay. And then I was going on a boat tour, and this is within the last couple of years. This isn't like a long time ago. A long time ago, everybody was like, "Hello, ladies," when I was with my friend who's a girl. And I mean, I wasn't wearing women's clothes or anything. I just, I don't know. And the guy's like, "Right this way, ma'am," to step on the boat. And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, sir. You can beat me up afterwards." I'm not even kidding.
What are you, like androgynous?
No, I just no. I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I guess I am. But I don't have like long hair or anything.
Yeah.
I do shave my whole body though, so that probably helps.
Do you? My significant other's cousin dated this girl. Like, this is one of those hillbilly things. Cousin, brothers, uncles, sister. But she shaved her entire body always. Like everything. But I don't know why. Why do you do that? Like, do you swim?
I do swim actually a lot. Swimming is like my favorite form of exercise, and before COVID and all this other stuff, I was a pretty damn good swimmer, and I could swim about 1 mile per hour short of Olympic swimmers. So,
wow.
Yeah.
You must be in great shape.
So, yeah.
I need to lose about 10, 15 pounds right now. But yeah, I was in great shape before COVID.
Yeah.
I was so much thinner before COVID. So much
thinner. Did that to everyone. Yeah.
It sucks, but whatever. That's cool. That's
that's more personal information than I've ever released on these live streams, by the way.
Well, cool. It just makes you more relatable.
Yeah.
I think. So if you understand that sort of thing, I don't know if you've ever given your opinion. I'm sure maybe you have, but do you lend any merit to Kurt cross-dressing and that relating somehow to Dylan's disappearance?
Well, those are two separate questions.
Well, they can relate though.
They definitely could relate if he wanted to get rid of him for some reason, like he was going to out him or something like that. But, given what's been said by Ty Corbin and by Dylan Berg, yeah, sure. I mean, I think maybe Kurt is in the closet and maybe he does cross-dress. And I don't hold that against him because it's like, that's not a big deal to me. Like, I've literally done it myself. I don't wear a wig, but, I've worn women's clothing and I'm pretty damn good with makeup. Like, I'm really good with makeup, actually.
Well, you need to teach me. I'm terrible at it, apparently. So, go ahead.
But, like, to me, that's not a big deal. If it's a big deal to him, then that's something. And I do think that in the Salty interviews, he protested way too much about the whole gay thing, like saying that he would ditch Dylan if he found out that he was gay. Jim Terry goes on a lot of shows and he says a lot of really politically incorrect stuff, and none of it has offended me, right? But when Kurt said that he would ditch Dylan if he found out he was gay, that really pissed me off. And that pissed Ty Corbin off too. And Ty Corbin is about as straight and, like, farmer guy, manly as you can get. And he's like, that is a really shitty thing to say about somebody, that if you found out they were gay, you ditch them. So I do think that's protesting too much. I don't know if it relates to Dylan going missing. Especially not given the other things Kurt said. And I'm not trying to throw him under the bus or anything. I'm just saying, like, what he said in interviews with Salty has been pretty damning in a lot of ways. So if he was trying to make him look good, if Salty was trying to make him look good, I don't really think he did a very good job. But
I agree.
Same here.
And I don't know that was his intention. I don't know if his intention was really just like, here's Kurt, mask off, here he is. So I, again, like you said that earlier, that you're just sort of unclear of what his intentions are, and I don't even know that they matter to me, because it's more like a don't kill the messenger. Because if Kurt's talking, that's Kurt. I mean, no matter what Salty's doing, it's Kurt's just talking. So it's,
That's what I was wondering about with the mask off thing. I was like, is that like a subliminal message or something about like a mask coming off and like us seeing something that's not, good. Am I the only one that got that vibe?
No, it just made me tilt my head a little bit, like, okay. And then it sort of seemed that way. Mask off.
Yeah.
Everything Salty says seems to be like having a double meaning.
Huh. Yeah. I don't hate Mike or anything. I really don't. I think he I don't know. You know what? I'm not even going to speculate on it because I could ask him myself. But I guess I'll speculate a little bit. I think that he's thinking things that maybe he wasn't thinking when he initially met Kurt. Maybe. What do you think?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Well, that goes back to his initial contact with Kurt and his reasons for doing so. I think maybe Salty's more like me in a way where he doesn't give a shit who says what. It's just what's said that's important. And I kind of get that vibe off of him. So if he's doing it for those reasons and he's trying to get to the truth, then he might be doing a better job than he bargained for in some ways.
Yeah.
Not trying to sound too diplomatic, but
no, you're fine. I agree with you.
Well, because somebody was like, earlier on a different panel, they're like, "Oh, you'd be a perfect politician because you said a bunch of words without saying anything." I'm just trying not to say something that's, irresponsible to say.
Right. No, I got you. I'm like, we're on the same page.
We do that often.
Yeah.
Well, because if his motivations are to extract information, then he's doing a good job. If his motivation is to polish somebody's image, he's not doing a good job at all. In fact, quite the opposite. And if his motivation is simply to get the truth, no matter who it's from, I think he might be doing a really good job of that, even if he didn't intend to do that initially. And if I say much more, then, Kurt won't talk to him. So...
Yeah, I mean, it's just the same with me. Like, people are like, why didn't you ask him the hard questions? Listen, I'm talking to him. I'm getting him to talk. He's talking. Whatever you derive from that information that you hear, you do. So it's not, to me, it wasn't about defending Kurt or exonerating him or painting him as a suspect. You get to hear him. You take from that what you will. And maybe Salty's on that same mindset of, here it is, and you take from it what you will. I mean, that's like, in interrogations and stuff, like, you don't see a detective like being an asshole typically. They're very nice to them because people are not going to talk to you if you're going to be a jerk. They're not good. They're just, they're going to shut down. But when you're nice, they'll talk to you.
That's exactly what I was saying earlier on a different show.
Oh, were you? So?
Yep.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I got so much flack for that. And it's like, what are you guys missing? I mean, hear him. Stop paying attention to me and my lipstick and pay attention to what this person is saying. There's things to take away from it. Then now you have Mike, interviewing him. There's things to take away from it. we can theorize on what Mike's motives are, which I already did. But I don't have a judgment of it. You're still, getting someone to talk, and it helps to piece together the puzzle. But I do hope that Mike is maybe a little careful, I guess, with some stuff. I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
As far as
It seems like he's definitely doing well. We don't know his motivation, so it could be either way, but he is definitely what would you call it? Jess, you do the same thing when you talk to people. I can't think of the word right now, where you kind of like you prime someone, you make them feel like really
You
what's the
just
word?
get on their level.
Yeah, but
You get on
also
their
he does a
level,
lot of like
and
fluffing of the ego, and I'm not sure if he's doing that to just
well,
to
you
try to
you,
get more
you find
information.
some sort of commonality,
Yeah,
and everyone has one or something, and you go with that, and you talk to people. That's what you do. I mean, I don't know. I don't really have like difficulty with that.
yeah.
So,
It's just
but yeah,
frustrating not knowing why he's doing it, I guess.
um,
Like I have
I think whatever Kurt says is more important than Salty's reasoning or
that's true.
reasons.
That's true.
That is the most important thing related to Dylan's case for sure. Whatever Salty's motives, whatever's going on with this, now him and Ty Corbin are suing each other or some nonsense. I don't know. Unrelated. It just whatever Kurt says is the most important thing that needs to be paid attention to. So
He's supposed to be going to Montello, Salty is. And I kind of wonder if he's going to do like a stream from there or something. That would be interesting.
yeah.
Isn't Glory going with him?
I think so.
I'm not
Kurt
sure you're
said
supposed to say that. I'm not sure you're supposed to say that.
Oh.
She said it.
Oh.
Well, Glory said it earlier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Never mind then.
Yeah.
She was saying that she got an offer to go out to Montello.
You're going to be packing heat, right, Gloria Ellen?
Yeah, there's Glory. She's still in here. She said we've been talking about it.
Yeah.
Like,
for a second, it scared me. I was like, did I say something I wasn't supposed to say? And then I remembered that she did comment.
I didn't know if she had said that publicly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Rainy Joe says he lives close by. I think she's talking about Mike, Salty. And he wants to get the truth out. He wants another side out besides what Doug, Jim, and Ty are putting out. And I'm glad. Yeah, I mean, make of that what you will. But again, the most important thing is actually what Kurt will be saying. So, and I kind of really hate talking about that, to be honest. Like, I don't,
I hope bridges aren't burned.
No, it's more like I don't want, like, just keep talking.
Yeah.
Because you learn more about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess if Kurt feels like he has nothing to hide and he wants to talk, then do it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if there's like a interview, like a live interview with Kurt. I don't remember what day it is that Salty's supposed to go out there. Do you recall, Jess?
I think something about the 30th, he's having a live stream with Kurt, and that's all I know.
Oh, okay.
Will is saying, I don't think Kurt is involved, but if you're relying on Salty to make this happen, you're wasting a trip. Just saying. He won't let anyone near Kurt for whatever reason. Well, Will, it's not Salty. And we'll leave that there. So.
All right. Well, I think I'm going to jump off this live. I'm getting exhausted. It's 2 a.m. Oh my gosh. 2 a.m. That means it's like 5 o'clock for you guys.
Yeah.
You guys are still in chill mode, huh?
Yeah, we're still chilling. All right. Okay, just more stuff to think about and mull over.
All right. Well,
I'll see you guys later.
Thank you for coming on, Jess. Thank you for coming on, Black Dove.
Thank you for having me up.
You guys have a good night. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.